Like,
Yeah, well, I haven't watched sports.
He was telling me, that,
Yeah, no,
he said,
I-
yeah, you know, lived down in New Orleans for a while.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, well, I haven't
like,
watched two shows.
He did that, yeah.
Yeah,
He
There's a couple minutes before the meeting.
was telling me,
Yeah, I know.
that, he said, yeah, you know,
We're live on
for a
YouTube.
while.
Okay.
like,
Yeah, well, I haven't watched two shows.
He did that, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a couple minutes before the meeting.
He was telling me,
Yeah, I
that,
know.
he said, yeah, you know,
We're live on
for a while.
YouTube. Okay.
like,
He did that, yeah.
Yeah,
He was telling me,
Yeah, I know.
he said, yeah, you know,
We're live on YouTube.
like,
I don't remember seeing. He was telling me,
Yeah, I know.
I said, yeah, you know,
We're live on YouTube.
I don't remember seeing. He was telling me,
Yeah, I know.
I said, yeah, you know,
We're live on YouTube.
Morris Lumber.
Yeah,
Then, the day I got.
We're live on.
We're getting ready to head up to Syracuse for, Bears. Do a lot of, they got shut down by Morris Lumber. So then, this summer I did a pine job. down
We're live on.
We're getting ready to head up to Syracuse for, Bears. Do a lot of, they got shut down by Syracuse things to do. They like to have it go well, and so they want to go up there. Then, this summer I did a pine job. down
We're live on.
I'm probably gonna go a couple more. Do a lot of, they got shut down by Syracuse things to do. They like to have it go well. So, yeah, basically we're doing build this summer we did a pine job. Go out there with-
We're live on.
That's what I'm getting ready to do. When that's ready to go. I'm probably gonna go a couple more. Do a lot of, they got shut down by Syracuse things to do. They like to have it go well. So, yeah, forward and basically we're doing build this summer we did a pine job. Go out there with-
We're live on.
That won't be a normal. I'm probably gonna go a couple more months. Do a lot of, they got shut down by Syracuse things to do. They like to have it go well. So, yeah, forward and basically we're doing build this summer we did a pine job. Go out there with-
We're live on.
Basically take pellets, that won't be a normal heating pellets, and we mix with it. And it's got polymer in it, so it absorbs the water right into it. I can take slop, mix it, stack it,
Really?
yeah, about that quick,
No kidding. Sucks it out that quick.
yeah.
Huh.
So, the other guy, my son, he was down, they never seen nothing like it. But yeah, this stuff will work. I gotta talk to you about some mullen plants. You got any extras or?
Yeah, we've had some,
Put some up there. Mums do pretty good on that road. I don't know why, but
they're pretty hardy. People like them, they last. They're pretty easy to
Yeah.
take care of. Yeah. Yeah, we can get something up there.
yeah,
Come and grab them or whoever, however, we
Right.
can make it work.
stop it. So I just heard that Luke didn't want to mess with the corn this year, but he's trying to get in the house, he's trying to get,
Yeah, right.
mom, we can forget about it. Set him up there, put the jug up there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta send a few out to. The place right on the corner in East Avon where it used to be the Big Indian there.
Mhm.
They got that little market there. She just called today. She wants, they do not very much, so buy a few too, so.
Oh, either, what's her name, Red Barn Farm or something?
No, they get them from somebody else. No, this is further down, right in East Avon,
Okay,
right at the Four Corners there by the Pioneer.
oh, okay, right past the corner on the right?
Yeah.
Over the old,
Good evening.
Indian used to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Welcome
did
to
all the
the
work around that.
August
corner.
28th
Did you?
Yeah.
meeting of the Rushtown
Oh.
Board. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ken, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Chase,
Here.
Councilwoman Morelli,
Here.
Councilman Kies.
Here.
Councilman Brown,
Here.
Supervisor Williver,
Here. Announcements, I have a new range schedule for month of September. If anyone's interested, it'll be posted. Public comment period. Anyone have comments for the board?
I'm Catherine Capella Hankins, Pinnacle Road. I would like to call you to attention and put this matter in the public record. On July 10th, the board held a public hearing on the new lease amendment for A Horse's Friend. The hearing was kept open until July 24th, and written comments were accepted until July 17th. The town supervisor did not wait until July 24th for the board and the input from the public hearings and resolutions. He announced on November 5th, he announced the November 5th referendum and support of the amendment on the homepage of our town website and on the front page of our town newsletter. Before the board had acted, the supervisor offered the public what I will challenge and argue in the future, incomplete, inaccurate, misleading, and unsubstantiated claims. New York State town law is clear. A town supervisor has one vote, the same as other board members. There is no provision for informal votes taken outside of a public meeting. The New York State Open Meetings Law requires transparency and public participation in public meetings. The July 10th minutes include a list of who spoke at the hearing and that the supervisor read a letter from a resident. At the July 24th meeting, the supervisor did not acknowledge receiving my letter opposing the new lease amendment and did not read my statement into the public record. Due diligence is the investigation that a reasonable person is expected to take before making a decision. There was no public discussion on any of the issues I raised. The lease terms, the impact on the environment, zoning, special use permits, past board resolutions, the town's legal commitments. The guidance from the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historical Preservation was not considered, and our town attorney did not answer any questions at all. The public deserves answers. Town officials take an oath of office to follow the New York State Constitution. They are public servants required to act in a nonpartisan manner, focusing only on the best interest of our community. Public hearings are intended to make sure both board members and the public are informed and involved. All opinions, questions, concerns should be valued. Past town supervisors offered 2 open public forums at every board meeting. There were no time limits. The board responded to questions and concerns regardless of their personal opinion. Americans have a right to speak up and to disagree, to ask questions, and to hold public officials accountable. How can it be ethical for public officials to use their position, influence, and town funds to unfairly lobby for one side? How can it be the right for public officials to discredit residents and taxpayers who disagree with them? How can it be appropriate to spend taxpayer money for town officials to lobby for the benefit of a private company? How can it be right to ignore the significant legal questions and concerns of residents and taxpayers? In closing, the law matters. Process matters. The public record matters. Truth matters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes. I'm a little confused. I'm John Morelli, 535 Five Points Road. I came down here because I put on the Zoom to watch the meeting and there was no meeting. So I went to the agenda and there was nothing on it about a meeting. And I guess I'm a little concerned that it seems that we're just playing games in terms of 1 week we're doing one thing, 1 week we're doing something else. We go from something where you can't even see the people. And I did send an email out last week or last time, just saying that having the video, not the video, the voice, but no video could only work if you have an individual mic for everyone that has their name, so we know who's talking, otherwise it's not worth watching. Then this time, I didn't see anything at all, so I guess I don't know what the game is, but I thought I'd come in and state my concern because I was all set to watch it. Thank you.
It's a work in progress, trying to get it ironed out so we don't have problems like we had in the past. On YouTube, correct?
Actually, it is not on YouTube right now because we had feedback, which when I tested it, we tested it for an hour or so today. It did not give feedback. Tonight it did. So I will load it after the meeting so that anyone can view it.
In the future, it should be,
In the future, it should be on at the same time that the meeting is being conducted. Yes.
thank you. Anyone else? Mary Ann?
Hi, everyone. Mary Ann Rizzo, 25 Stoll Road. Yeah, I'd like to see the Zoom meetings reinstated. I was just disappointed. I was there on Zoom when we had the intruder. So I understand there was that problem. But I hope that you can make sure that it's on Zoom, so it's interactive. And I wanted to go to a birthday party tonight, but I came here instead, which I know I'm pathetic. But if I knew it was on Zoom, then I probably would have just, watched it later, but you're telling me it's
You
gonna
can
be.
watch- Zoom
but-
will not enable it to watch it later.
Okay.
YouTube will enable you to watch it
But
later.
I just think it's good to have that interactive ability, and I hope that if you needed to hire like an AV person for a certain of 7 hours a week or whatever, I think I value that. And I hope that it comes back. That's number one. The other thing is with the dollar store, I didn't make the meeting yesterday. I'll be able to see that on Zoom, I hope. The planning board meeting? I'll be able to see that on Zoom, on
It
YouTube.
was taped, yeah.
Okay.
On YouTube.
So I want to say that I hope that you're moving in the direction of meeting the historical standards. We had put it in the comprehensive plan at like 12 different times that any new buildings would be in the hamlet would have historical design standards. So I really hope, and I've already advocated for the size being, I always already said, and that I've already said, no, 10,000 is very big. I know that the developer wants to go 10.7 or 10.6, whatever it is. I hope you don't grant that. 10,000, it's even in the comprehensive plan that you should stay within the design and the size of the present buildings in the hamlet. So I think you're already stretching it. And I just like it, if it's gonna be, I just like it to be fit into our hamlet in a very beautiful way. And the last thing I want to say is, we have a problem in the building with a gutter. Maybe you know about it. Every time I walk in, especially when it's raining, when I come into the library or into this meeting, it's right to your right as you're walking in, it's up above. It doesn't have, the water falls right down the building and it's wreaking havoc at the foundation. I've seen it actually in motion, but I know you could even tell the damage over the winter. So if you could think about paying attention to that and remediating it, because I know we have a dehumidifier down there and it's gonna have to work overtime. And, we have to, their foundation is getting damaged.
Entrance.
To the library. Yeah, to the right there before you walk in. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I will move approval of the minutes.
So I will move to approve the town board workshop minutes of August 6th, 2024, as submitted by Deputy Town Clerk Buchanan.
I'll second that.
Okay, I do have one comment. And I believe that I'm not listed as a participant, but I was there. If that could be corrected. It mentions me further down in the minutes where we have a discussion about something, so obviously was there, but I'm not listed as
I'm
being
sure that
present.
was all, I should just,
I know. I just want it corrected that it shows I
it
was
will
there.
be amended.
Thank you. So can we have a vote?
Councilwoman Morelli,
Aye.
Councilman Chase.
Aye.
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Williver.
Aye. Approve the abstract, Councilman Guys.
Having reviewed all the vouchers on abstract 8-2 dated August 28th, 2024. Authorized payment totaling $109,931.64, which includes Fund AA General for $19,056.10. Fund DA Highway for $71,244.20. And Fund LL Library for $1,936.31. So I have a second.
I think that's incorrect. I think it's the library with 71,000 from what I recall reading. When we got the copy of the abstract
There was a bill for $58,000.
for the library. So I think it's probably reversed between the library and the highway.
Okay.
I think the highway is probably more than.
So
So the highway fund is 1,936.31,
Oh, well.
and that's a library, and the library fund is 71,244.20.
So those two are just reversed.
Right.
right,
And I'm
Highway
sorry,
will be 109.
Highway should be 1936.
Highway's 19.
Yes.
highway's 1936.31.
Yeah, so basically that has to say, that's for library, that's
Okay.
for highway.
All right, I just
Yeah.
pull my motion, I reread it.
Fine, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Councilwoman Morelli,
aye.
Councilman Chase,
Aye.
Councilman Kais,
All right,
Councilman Brown.
Aye.
Supervisor Williver.
Aye.
And there is a second set of minutes for the August 14th that was submitted to you, if you want to do a resolution for that as well.
I haven't read through them yet. Anybody?
Well, I did, but we can postpone it till the next meeting.
Yeah,
if
if
you
you
have-
haven't
if
had
you
a chance, I read them, but so
Yeah, that's fine. But if Dan didn't, then we'll just put it next meeting. That's fine. It's easy enough.
yeah.
Board of Officers. Deputy Supervisor Chase.
Yeah, I went to our planning board meeting last night. It was we had a fairly full schedule for the planning board. I forgot my notes. I'm gonna kind of go off my memory. There was one application for a site plan approval. There was a little bit more to that property than just our general site plan. There was a horse boarding operation on that property, so there was some concern maybe we were going to need to have a special use permit for that. But that was separated from the actual site plan for the new house. There were still a few questions that the planning board wanted to see. So the applicant's engineer was gonna get back to them on that. The next one was just a simple lot line adjustment for the North Wheatland Community Church over on Telephone and East River Road. That was approved for a lot line adjustment. The biggest thing we had was we had an informal review of the Dollar General that is potentially looking at coming into the town of Rush. Mary Ann touched on that a little bit earlier. Very informal, just kind of wanted some feedback from the planning board, what they were looking to get out of them. The planning board had some good questions for them. There were some pretty good exchanges. A lot of the questions really couldn't be answered by him. He's just the one that's kind of doing the general design. He didn't have a lot of the answers to the actual business plan of Dollar General, which there were some questions that they were asking about that. He couldn't really answer those, but he did take a lot of notes. He was gonna go look at some of the buildings in the hamlet to maybe try and see if they could match some of what we already have. So they're willing to work. What the extent of what they can do is still unknown. But they are willing to try and do some stuff and try and make it look as the people in the town would like it to look. So they did also say it's not just gonna be like what we typically see as a Dollar General. It's gonna be what they call as a DG Market. That's something that Dollar General, I guess a lot of their new stores, they're trying to make them more like a DG Market. He was fairly adamant, do not get that confused with a supermarket. That's not what this is. They will offer some fresh produce and some meat and things of that nature at this store. He did say that, you know, they do have actual supermarkets. But that would require an additional 2,000 square feet to do that. And with the lot they have now, he didn't believe that was feasible. So he said he's planning on maybe coming back in 2 months and maybe with some new designs and have some answers to some of those questions. So none of that is set in stone, but keep an eye out. We'll let you know. There is potential that they will be coming back in October. Depending on what he can come up with to get it to the planning board by the 10th of September. So that's what I have.
Councilwoman Morelli.
Thank you. So, last Tuesday, the 20th, I attended the fire commissioners meeting. They had a full house there that night. They did have a couple of applications for the planning board, which they addressed. So, that went well. And, nothing in particular to bring back to the town board from the fire commissioners at this time. Last night, I also attended the planning board meeting, out of curiosity, because I knew that the Dollar General was coming back in for an informal. I attended the last informal meeting that they came to about a year ago, and then we heard nothing. So I echo the comments made by Dan. They appear to be willing to listen to our concerns about the look and feel of this. I suggested that the developer please take a look at our comprehensive plan, because we talk specifically about what we want, what the residents want for the hamlet. And our town historian, Sue Mee, was also there and offered up some specific design recommendations based on what they've done elsewhere that would perhaps be more compatible. And he accepted that information. He agreed to look into these things and to bring it back to his principals. We shall see. But I think he heard loud and clear from a few people that were in the audience. The planning board chair allowed residents to ask questions. But the planning board, several members of the planning board made it very clear that their experience with Dollar Generals elsewhere is not positive, and that they've been left in disrepair and not maintained. And we do not want that in the town of Rush, and we want it to be visually appealing and fit in with our character, and we expect it to be maintained. So he heard all this because those members were pretty vocal. It was really good. The planning board spoke up loud and clear about the expectations for the town of Rush for something of that nature. So we'll see what they come back with. You know, we did ask, you know, so last time you were here was about a year ago. What are you, what are you thinking? You know, are you moving? Do you think you're gonna move forward with this at all? Oh, yeah. You know, he said, oh, we can come back to the next meeting. And then the planning board told them quickly how it works, you know, that there are rules for submitting applications and so on. And so I think the guy had a lot to take home and digest. So we'll see. Hope, you know, if they're gonna do it, come back with a plan and then go through all the official overview by the town. So,
Very good.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Kais.
Now the general comes to store, we gotta, as a town board and as a town, we gotta try and see what we can do about that big M property. Because they're gonna build, if they build, I'm sure it'll be a nice looking building, and we're gonna have an eyesore in the corner. I think we need to maybe try and scratch ahead and see what options we could look at. I did meet with the Slaytons over in Rush Road. I had a talk with them. And by doing so, I mean, obviously, I'm a local, so I'm familiar with the intersection, so I know the right way to pull up to it. So I tried to approach it in a dummy effect. And there could be some tree trimming that could be done based on the right of way. There's a couple of trees, if you're headed west, going south, there's a tree that right about the eye level, it's down about 150 feet. That could block, you gotta pull out a little bit, you know, and I was in a pickup truck, so I sit a little higher than a car. But that tree could be trimmed a little bit. And then on the other side, same thing on the northwest corner. A little bit around the corner there, and then down just a little bit. It's all minor stuff, but a couple of simple things we could do. I know I talked to Dan, he was gonna check possibly see if the post office be willing to move mailboxes over to the other side. I know on my road, the people got the mailboxes moved. So I know it is possible, it's just, can it be done? So I know Dan had that, and he was gonna look into that. Other than that, to change the speed limit, you can't change the guy with a heavy foot coming off a stop sign. You know, I mean, we could make it 25 miles an hour. People just take off and fly. I don't have an options for that, but I did want them to know that the town board was looking and they are taking their concerns seriously. As a town, a lot of our hands are tied based on speed limits and being a county and state road, but we are trying to come up with some alternative options. So that's all I got. And I don't know if that's even an option. I don't think we can trim trees because that's state and county road, but no, maybe we can throw it out there to the peak powers to be. They ask.
Mhm.
So I got.
Thank you. Councilman Brown. Town clerk.
Just a question, Councilman Kais, you are talking about the intersection of West Henrietta Road and West Rush Road? I just wanted that for the record. The clerk's office is just handling a lot of FOIL requests lately. We are doing a lot of marriage licenses, which is not as common as it has been in the last few years. And we are notarizing a lot of paperwork. We have 3 notaries and we're busy. So that's what I have to offer for this. And upcoming is hunting, school, taxes, school programs. So the office will be a little bit more busy than it has been this last month. That's
Thank
it.
you. Kevin.
I attended the planning board meeting last night, but to echo what Councilman Morelli and Councilman Jay said, it was DG Market was the big topic. It'll be interesting to see what they come back with and if they took some of the feedback and comments they received to heart and actually build that into their application.
Okay. Very good. I attended a meeting with the superintendent of Rush Henrietta Schools with Pat about recreation. We have our after school care is currently at Good Shepherd. We have an agreement with Rush Henrietta for 4 or 5 years, and we're in the 4th or 5th year, and we're wondering what's going to happen. But the superintendent was very gracious and very reassuring that they will have a spot for our program moving forward. It probably won't move for a year or two, but they will have a spot for us moving forward, which is very good for the recreation part. Met with Taylor Hines and Hines Hives this morning with DJ. Went over and see where she's actually going to spot her hives and clear a little spot for her so she can get moving over there. Hope to have bees there within the next couple of weeks. And I went to the industry meeting, talks about the kids and the upkeep and everything going on over at industry. It's interesting. They have about 100 kids over there that they're attending school, doing like BOCES programs and trying to get better. It seems like a good program, but they're terribly understaffed. Said they could hire 75 people tomorrow if they had 75 people turn out in all positions everywhere. It's just, and state regulations killing them. It's just, it's interesting, but they're moving forward. And that's about it. How about DJ?
Southwest. So, getting to the stop signs on Rush West Rush Road and 15, I've heard back from New York State DOT. That needs to be an engineered thing. You just can't pound signs wherever you want to put more stop signs. So, he forwarded my email on to the engineer. I have not heard back from him. As far as the tree work, you know, if you call New York State DOT East, which is 585-586-4514, they may be able to assist you in getting your trees or your branches trimmed. That's the number I go to when I need something done from them. The town clock is, I've heard back from National Grid. The way it is hooked in now is illegal. So we need to, I gave a copy of all the paperwork, which is fairly lengthy, to Mr. Wolver.
I started on it.
And to try to come up with a situation, we're gonna need to run a line down to a meter. Put a meter pole in to run just this clock. So it's gonna take some time. It's gonna take a little bit of work to, you know, get this thing up and running. My personal opinion is that, you know, if it were in front of the town building where we already had power, we could run a line out to it and make it work without going through a whole bunch, because when they run power, I mean, there's what, a $27-30 expense every month just to have the meter there.
Right.
Which is probably more than the power that the clock uses.
Absolutely.
You know, that's just my take on it, but it's you know, when it is what it is. It's not my decision. Doesn't matter to me, but that's where we are with that. We're currently milling Creekside Drive and Mill Road over at West Rush Firehouse. We also milled the firehouse. We're helping them get that repaved, and that's where we stand at this point. So
Is there power at the gazebo?
there is,
And that's our power
yes.
with our meter?
We have a meter on the pole that powers the light for the dam.
I was wondering the same thing. Is there possibility to move the clock? Is I know that.
Oh,
there
I
was a-
don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
saying is that this is what was brought to me by
Yeah.
National Grid. They're like, hey, you know, you could save yourself a whole bunch of hassle and and, run around by putting a clock, somewhere else that in front of a town entity that, had the power there within that building or at that structure, so.
Solar power,
The solar, yeah.
The problem with that, with the clock and being solar powered is that what burns, and this is what we've gone through in the past, is what burns the brain or the keyboard out in the clock is intermittent power.
Right.
So this has happened a couple times now that we've had to replace this part in the clock because, obviously the power that we're getting now is not adequate. It's kind of on and off every time it rains or the wind blows. So that's where we stand on that.
okay, thanks.
There is power to use. If it was on that side, then it would be, we could run another line to the clock.
The whole idea of placing it down there was, people obviously know what town hall is, but to make people bring a little more attention to it, a little more to our hamlet.
That's just what Nick told me.
But maybe that's something we could look at, moving it, right? If
Yeah.
that's gonna,
Seems like the most viable option.
Yeah.
Instead of having a standalone meter for,
Is that
just a simple concrete foundation?
Yes.
There's a time capsule buried up in there. too.
oh,
How big? So we can transplant it?
Something to think about.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Brooke Deej, what was that number again for DOT?
585, 586, 4514.
4, yep. Thank you.
Moving on to old business, the discussion of our funds. I sent an email out to town board members to have any ideas to do, what to do with ARPA funds. We need to use them up soon.
I know we discussed the fuel tanks and using it, I think that's good purpose of where we send it. There's a lot of other things still in delay yet, so. I mean, the money is,
Balance.
so
It's like 278.
Everybody's gotta, the public is saying that everybody's gotta speak closer to the microphone so that they can be heard.
okay.
Appreciate that.
Over there, we'll share it.
I believe the ARPA funds balance is $278,000.
So I have a suggestion, of course. I'm sure you expected that.
Yeah.
And I'll pass that around. And of course, it would be adjusted for actual numbers, but this is a rough estimate of what I think we can and should think about. So I started off with a balance of 285, because at one point you said that's what it was, so it's a little
Yeah.
bit less, so. We have the 1911 house commitment, we know, of 93,000, and that's coming up in the very near future, where we're gonna have to satisfy that commitment that we made. I'm suggesting that we think about throwing in another 32,000 to make it a nice 125 commitment to the 1911 house. Now, don't forget that this is town-owned property. We need to be maintaining town-owned property, so it's using stuff to keep improving the town. So to me, that seems like a win-win. We have the water district, we have some more funds to expend for that to get it to the vote. And I'm saying, let's, at this point, this can be adjusted when we get closer and to divert if this is too much, but I'm saying, okay. At this point, let's look at 50,000 to that. And then see where it goes from there. Now, here's a pet thing that I've been trying to get for a long time is holiday lights in the hamlet. We got this free money. And I put in 10 grand, but that may be overkill. I don't know what
I
it
actually
costs.
believe Jerry put $10,000 in the budget last year for holiday lights.
And we did nothing.
I just found out about
Well, let's do it. My understanding, and correct me, DJ, is that when I first started asking about this, I was told by your predecessor that we couldn't put up holiday lights because National Grid has to come and put drop down plugs on all the lampposts so that you can plug in these units. That's how it works.
There used to be lights on those poles for Christmas.
it. There are plugs on the poles, but
Well, why was I told there wasn't and we
fair-
need to?
There are plugs
they don't work.
and there's,
They don't work.
I think there's 30 plugs. Only 2 of them actually have power to them.
But that's what National Grid, I thought, was supposed to make happen with all the requests we made
At a cost.
at a cost. What's the cost? I don't know why we can't get answers to this. Our town looks devoid of any holiday spirit. You come through Rush, nothing. You go to every other town and it's festive and you feel good immediately upon, like, let's do something that feels good. I'm talking 10 grand here. Let's do something for the holidays. Let's get some lights on the lampposts. I'm saying 10 grand. And then, so that doesn't account for everything. You know, even after those suggestions, we still have $100,000. Now, I know, you all know that there are other improvements that we have to make to this building, to the highway department building. We've got building improvements and repairs to make. Just today, the gutters, I don't know, didn't we get new gutters in the last couple of years? I remember seeing crews out there.
No.
No, we had something done. So do we need gutters? Do we need to, we know we need improvements.
Mhm.
I've heard people complain about some of the windows leaking, that it's freezing. We need to replace some windows in this building.
That'll be in the next budget.
Well, we've got some money. We've got money. Order a couple of windows and get
That's-
stuff done. We've got, you know, I don't know what it's gonna take to repair the highway garage. That could be a massive thing. You know, once Dan Chase had gone out there and done a walkthrough and brought it to our attention, the state of disrepair of that building is shocking.
Every building there.
You could see through the wall.
Yes, the doors, walls, the salt shed is being held up with Jersey barriers right now, so
So
it doesn't get pushed out.
why aren't we putting money into, we got some money here.
Well, and that brings up my point. What my thought with this was that money that we have, that we're getting from these ARPA funds. My thought would be to put that money towards those fuel tanks. We can take care of that. The rest of that, we could pull out some more money for the 1911 house once we know that we need to allocate that, but that would come from a budget transfer from the money that was budgeted for the fuel tanks. So we could do a budget transfer from the highway department into our general fund. That would cover our commitment to the 1911 house once that comes to fruition. What we could do with the rest, and we have talked about this before, and we know we have a lot of repairs, but at no point has the town itself, the highway department has one. The town itself does not have a capital reserve fund for any of these emergency issues that come up. I think that with this money, it would be a good starting point to get a capital reserve fund going for some of these emergent, we've had them pop up. A roof out of nowhere was what, $60-some thousand, or it would be that we were in a good position right now where if we can take some of this money, move it around, transfer some of these funds, it puts us in a good position to start that capital reserve fund and be able to protect ourselves from some of the unknown stuff that could pop up. Some of the stuff that was brought up, the windows and things like that, they need to be done, but those are items we could budget for. But I think that capital reserve fund needs to be there for some of these emergency type things that could pop up. And I think that with this ARPA fund and being able to move some of this money around, it puts us in a pretty good position to be able to finally start that capital reserve fund and have a good chunk of money set there to do some of the stuff that pops up or some of these other projects that might pop up. That's my thought. I just looking, I mean, so for me, I had a couple of things, Gene, for what you were saying, for the proposed water district. I was under the impression that with that last 12.6 that we gave them, that was going to get us to the petitions. That was my understanding. I think even Dan had asked, and they said, nope, that will get us to the petition point. So as far as I'm concerned, with the water district at this point, the town's commitment we should be relieved of that until we get these petitions done. And then we'll know whether or not we're moving forward with it. And then any other money that goes to that project, either from before and going forward, is going to be put onto whoever gets the waters, it's going to be put onto their tax bill. So I'm not sure where another 50 grand for that. Maybe it was just a shot in the, I just.
Well, not exactly, not a complete shot in the dark, because I was under the impression that it was not just the 12, that we had a previous commitment to finish all the stuff for the study that was bringing the whole total into the $40,000 range, that we've got to get it so we can get it to the vote. So based on previous commitments for finishing something, and then the additional work that we have to pay to get it to a vote, that we have to pay the engineers and our attorney and whoever else, so that we can get this out there. So I thought the commitment was closer to 40, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
So I'm not just making up numbers.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure where it came from, because I was under the impression
I
that
asked him if that's 12.6 that'll get us to where we gotta be.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
For the petitions.
I know you
Yes.
said that, but we have committed to finish up some, I'd like that clarified, because we have already committed to some additional work on the study to get it to whatever else we have to do to get it, the petition, but I could be wrong. But that was in my head, because I've been following that whole thing. pretty
right.
close.
And you were the lead person on it. That's why I was a little surprised to see that, because you obviously you know the numbers, you know everything. Like, so I'm like, where's that coming from? I thought that we were
'Cause I thought
closer.
we had other commitments with
Okay.
regard to that, in addition to the finalizing.
Okay, and then in the holiday lights, it would be great, it would be nice, but my mindset is, if you have the money, if everything's taken care of and things are maintained and you're doing well, then that's when you expend that extra money for the extra stuff. So that's where my mind goes. For me, it's like, in my personal experience, it's like, geez, I would love to have that piece of equipment. It would make my life a lot easier. Do I need it? No, but it would make my life easier. But I got this chunk of money. I could buy it, but I got this other piece of equipment that I need to get my work done, and it needs repair. So you put that money to that for what you need before you go somewhere else. So that's my feeling on it. It would be great. And I think it would be, it would look nice for the town, but it's like, geez, and I know exactly what Mary Ann's talking about, because I saw it when I was walking around with Dan. The foundation in the corner of the town hall is crumbling. And it needs to be, and it's not going to be cheap. And so it's like, it's stuff like that where I would feel better having that money set aside for emergency type things and working forward to repair some stuff. That's my take on it. So
I'm just hoping we could have a little bit of, sorry, more imagination here to do something positive. They've got this pile of free money that we have to commit by the end of the year. So we're talking now, but I gotta say this, and I gotta ask this, guys. What is this fixation on paying for tanks that we already paid for under last year's budget for this year? It's already done. The taxpayers have paid their bills based on that budget. And if you want to go ahead and like reimburse it, then the money goes into the highway department fund. What the hell? No offense.
Whoa, no, that's not.
Not that.
That's
Well-
not going to the highway fund, that is state out.
It still is, it's in the general fund and AA?
Go to the highway.
Because I was gonna say, I thought all the buildings and stuff were under the AA.
Hey, no, that's not going to the highway.
But I still have to beg you to like, I don't know why, when we know we have to do these other things. Let's show some imagination and do something positive for the town here.
I
Go
thought,
ahead.
to-
I may come back,
No,
but
it's all right. Figure out, ask.
I'm sorry.
Well, I didn't want to cut you off. Listen, and I get it. I understand what you're saying, and you're talking about transparency, basically at the end of the day, and I can fully respect that. But the 260,000 is guaranteed to come back to us. Sure thing. A lot of these things, you know, the proposed water district, the holiday lights, the 1911 house, like, those are nice, but when I drive past the salt shed every day and the one wall is bowing out, and if we have to rebuild that we could spend $3 million at that facility and not even blink an eye, between the roof, the blacktop, the salt shed, everything. We need to do what we can to rebuild our infrastructure before we start, you know, looking at everything else.
So
The
everything,
big ticket items.
the big ticket items here, you know, we have committed to the 1911 house. We have to spend that money.
Right.
They're getting that money and that work is starting
And we're
this
gonna
fall.
budget for that for next year, correct?
Why would we do that?
Next year's budget.
because that's when the money's gonna be spent, Gene.
How do you know?
Is it gonna be
They're
spent,
starting now.
Sue?
We should be getting the first 25%. We're initially told it would be July, but the state was behind, so they're telling us everything's been approved, the contracts have been signed for the agreements, that should be coming most of it.
And,
now.
but
And so I guess that point, I look at, it's September. We all know how government works. You know, things are slow.
and
Even
even,
if it drags into the next year, we still are gonna budget for that 93,000. I can,
So you want people to pay higher tax bills this, you know, the town tax in January. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say though, in addition, another follow-up comment, if it's a matter of utilizing the ARPA funds, we could spend that money first. As soon as we have money from.
Could you go to the microphone? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you.
As soon as we have money from either the town or the state money, we can get going on starting things. So if the town wants to utilize the ARPA money now, give us.
We can get that work
Either
started.
matching in the same increments that the town or the state will give us, or give us the 93 up front, and they can get going.
well, I guess from the way Dan was explaining it though, you know, whether we call it the ARPA or the AA fund, we're giving the Historical Society $93,000.
To renovate a town-owned building,
Correct.
right?
I'm just saying, whether it's AA or ARPA, do you care what budget line it comes out of?
No, I personally don't care,
Okay. So that's why, so I guess,
Money
the
spent.
point is,
but
we approve the ARPA funds, $260,000. It refunds our AA account. And then we can allocate the 93,000 out of that.
But are you saying then that there'll be no money coming from the town this year, 2024?
That's what they're trying to tell you.
no, it's not,
And I
not
don't
at
like
all,
you.
not at all.
The
Wait,
two
what
hundred and
is
sixty
it?
ARPA funds will go towards the tank. The money that went to the tank will go back into the general fund. We'll have 260 available.
So we
So
could,
you know.
Yes.
But why do it that way? I understand.
I want to
Has
get the
go
money
back
used
in.
so we don't lose it.
I've given you a plan.
I want to see it committed definitely,
Then let's.
not some nebulous thing that
we-
we may do this.
We committed to it when we voted on committing to it, when they went out for the grant. It's committed. The 1911 house is getting $93,000 from us. There's no way around it. We're committed to that $93,000. Whether it comes out of ARPA funds or we spend that ARPA fund, we transfer that money into the AA and we could match it. If the state comes in December, that money will be there in the AA account that we transferred from the budget line, from the fuel tanks for the highway department. And they'll still get whatever money that $93,000 is going to be there for the 1911 house. Whether we spend it all or spend the ARPA funds on the fuel tanks, or we use the ARPA funds. The thing with the ARPA funds is if we spend them on the fuel tanks, they're used. We do not stand a chance of losing them. They cannot leave us. But if we wait and we kick it down the road, all of a sudden, December 31st comes, those ARPA funds are gone and they're gone.
Yeah, and we have till December 31st to make that commitment.
We could transfer the 260 into our,
So
into the AA.
no one is
And then-
taking any.
then we
money
have
away
it,
from the
and we can
1911.
use that for our capital reserve fund.
I'd like
Part
to
of
see a commitment that we're going to do some things here
We
and
don't,
Need to obligate it, right?
yes. And-
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
either
need to
way. you
obligate
would
it by
still
the
get
end
that
of the
money.
year. Yes.
So it's been sitting there empty for what, 5 years now?
We
I
could
think?
get
We
working
could
on
Get
it.
it done sooner than
Right.
later, maybe.
They're just waiting to get going on this for the money.
And it's community space.
It is
meeting
community. It's a
space as
town
well as the
building.
town, yeah. So it's
I said my piece. But I'd like to see a little more imagination into what we're saying we're gonna do with this money, and I would like, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do what you're gonna do. I'd like it out in the open, what your full intent is. I wanna know. And I think people need to know that there's nothing else that I'm not hearing about here, because there seemed to be such a fixation on this plan that you guys have, that I'm sorry, but I want to know, and I want people to know, and I want it above board what we're gonna do with this money and the commitment for this money.
I don't think there's any sort of fixation about this. It's just about making sure.
Making sure that we use the money and don't lose it. That's all I care
Yeah,
about.
I'm on board with that, totally, 100%. We'll do what we have to do, so we will not lose a dime. I get that. I just want a formal commitment that we're gonna do some of these things and not just not do anything for the town. It's the
I
same
don't-
old,
I don't
same old
think At any
story.
point, nobody here said that. I'm all about to, I would love to see holiday lights. I'd love to see the Hamlet look like Pittsburgh. But it's not,
Why not?
it's not right
Because
now
we don't do anything.
because we gotta fix the roofs that are leaking.
I
the salt
get it.
sheds that's
We
falling
got
down.
some money here that we've, I'm saying we got another $100,000, and some of the things, if we have to redo everything for the town highway department, I think we ought to look about that and look at bonding or something, like get a whole new complex over there and buildings and everything,
But why,
because the place is falling apart. But that's a whole separate issue. We're putting Band-Aids on things.
well, you're talking about just making sure we're not increasing taxes for people, but now you want to bond a project to pay for,
Trying to take care of necessary
understand.
improvements for the town.
I understand. But
We
I'm
have a
saying this-
1911 house that we know is town property. I'm not saying giving it, to spend it, let's have a party and drink it away.
And we're gonna pay our 93,000.
We're committed to it.
We,
One more thing.
All right, then, it's great. And it's just for your information. I know that the Historical Society is planning to come in next Tuesday and request a building permit to get going on the
Okay.
project. I should have included that when I was talking
Okay.
earlier. So just to give you an idea.
Thank you.
I mean, I think these are fine ideas. We're not really losing any money. The money was, you guys put away last year for the bond or for the tanks. It's in the general fund, right?
We
It's still in
spent
the
it,
funds.
spend it.
It's not spent yet.
Oh, yeah.
Where did it
For the
go?
tanks? We bought the tanks and we paid the bill.
Right. So this money here will just go back in the general fund, and then when we need something, they're still there to use. Well, nobody's saying we can't use it. And
Yeah.
frankly, if we put 10,000 away last year, or you did, put 10,000 away for lights last year that Jerry did, is that money in the budget too? There's your lights,
Let's do it.
right?
Let's do something exciting, a little bit, a little frivolous.
A little something, we keep, we get the lights up and we get the bill paid and the money's in the account. The money's not going anywhere. Nobody's gonna do any shady thing here and there's no reason to. We're all work for the town. We all work together. It's just a matter of, we're not gonna lose it. It's done. Because then,
I'm all aboard with doing what we have to do to assure that we don't lose a dime on this. So don't get me wrong. I just want to see a positive commitment here for the things that we also need to do on some of these projects.
I think that the feelings that all of us have are we want to do what's best for the town, not just one thing or one person. Like this is for the greater good of the entire community.
Oh, exactly. Everything I'm suggesting here is for the town.
And I appreciate that, but you're talking about allocating the money that has to be spent on that. It's not just like with a simple transfer, the 260,000 back into the general fund. We have that available for these things when we need them, because again, things take time.
I mean, if we're gonna do a resolution that money gets paid to the tank, goes back in the general fund, that not to be spent on anything other than potential projects that we've already got listed.
Which
I don't know. I don't know how you,
93,000 commitment to the historical side,
Yeah.
correct?
That could be this year, it could go into next year.
Right.
I appreciate your commitment.
I have been working
Ms.
on
Veroni.
on some projects that we need to look at, and we could use some of this money in the building reserve fund that we set up next year. Air conditioners, I just got a quote from Pipitone to fix the air conditioning, which probably needs to be fixed next year, is $26,000. Windows is probably gonna be a costly project to replace them all. We plan to do that over the couple of years, but I haven't actually got numbers from them, but plan on putting $35,000 aside for new windows because they're starting to fall apart. Parking lot, we got a price on for the town hall for this side, $35,000 to fix that, figuring next year, the following year. I mean, 26 or 27. New salt barns, $425,000. Stuff we gotta set money aside for and take care of that. And there's also, we should expand the complex over at the highway garage and buy some land from the David family, and that could cost 10,000. We don't really know. We'd have to discuss that with them, but we need to expand the complex over there. I'd like to get something going in buildings 1 and building 9 over at White Springs Farm. I don't want to spend a dime of town money. I'm gonna see if we can somehow get grants and stuff to do that, but
Yeah,
There's
we
prelim-
found White Springs Farm or
there's
something.
preliminary stuff that has to do engineering studies and inspections to make sure that they're viable, and I'd like to put $20,000 aside for that somewhere in the next 2 or 3 years. Just because they're not getting any younger and they haven't been used and they need attention. And a new boiler, the boilers are 20 years old. I don't know how long a boiler lasts. I got a price there's 2 of them. Price to replace one of them is about $27,000
For this building.
for this. That's stuff that we're gonna have to work into the budget over the next 2, 3, 4 years. We're gonna have to take care of. And that's just the stuff that I've been thinking about lately. I know there's probably other stuff that like, oh, how'd I miss that? But that's stuff we have to look at.
I still got the highway department to think about too, but
Yeah.
that's gonna be
Well,
substantial.
their equipment and stuff is a whole,
Or the buildings and everything. I mean,
yeah,
it's just-
absolutely. But I think if we spend the 260 now, then the money's back in the general fund, and we can start a capital reserve fund, and then we'll have at least a start and moving forward on some of these things that we're gonna have to do in the not so distant future. And that's just what I'm thinking.
I agree. Otherwise, we're gonna get into a lot of trouble and stuff's gonna snowball and.
Yeah.
Make a motion.
I so move to use the American Rescue Plan Act funds, ARPA funds. What was the sum again, Dan? 260,000? What was the new
I
total?
think the actual, not to exceed 260, I think it's 257
Okay.
something.
Not to exceed $260,000 to pay for the fuel tank installation at the Town of Rush Highway Garage. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Morelli,
Nay.
Councilman Chase,
Aye.
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Williver,
Aye. Moving on to new business, we need to schedule a public hearing on the town code to talk about the section 65 of the floodplain prevention. We do it at the next town board meeting, or does it have to go out farther?
I believe we can. I still haven't heard back to make sure, because I believe we have to have it in the paper for 10 days. So if that is true, I'd like to set it for you to approve it for the September 11th meeting.
Okay,
If I can't get it in the paper, then I will let you know tomorrow. I didn't hear back from the
okay,
Sentinel.
well, we can do one after that.
So you can set it for September 11th. Which we need resolution.
I so move to schedule a public hearing of local law to be determined of I so move to schedule a public hearing of local law number to be determined 2024 to amend town code section 65 flood damage prevention on September 11th, 2024 at 7:15 at the offices of Rush Town Hall, 5977 East Henrietta Road, Rush, New York, 14543. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Morelli,
Aye.
Councilman Chase.
Aye.
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Williver.
Aye. And that code will be going out to the website.
Yes,
Can we do the same thing for the fireman's
Yeah,
exemption and the veterans exemption?
Yes.
Should I did that to,
Well,
You
you'll
do
have
that
to
as a
read
separate
that resolution. And you might want to make the
Tuesday.
time like 15 minutes later or something like, or 10 or whatever you think you need.
7:30?
Excuse me, Mr. Supervisor?
Yeah.
That's what it says, yeah. Okay.
no, that's good.
Alright. I so move to schedule a public hearing, local law number to be determined of 2024 to amend exemption for firemen and veteran laws.
So, excuse me, they should be separate.
They're separate?
One for the firemen, public hearing, and then one for the veterans, public hearing.
Okay, I think it's better.
It's in the same code chapter.
It is in the same.
It's all in section 103.
Oh, okay. Apologize. They could be.
Code sections, so they can be taken together. Because you're modifying 103.8 and then 103.91 and 103.13.
And would they be two separate laws though? Local laws?
I put them, I consolidated
Okay.
one actual law that affects
I
all three
apologize.
sections.
I think they might combine it.
Yes, they would be solid, yes. No, it's
Right. So I so move to schedule a public hearing of local law number to be determined of 2024 to amend town code exemption for volunteer firefighters and ambulance personnel at 7:30 PM at the offices of Rush Town Hall, 5977 East Henrietta Road, Rush, New York, 14543. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilwoman Morelli,
Aye.
Councilman Chase,
Aye.
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
And this is the second one, and it's fine, I can bifurcate. Sure, that makes sense, yep.
Supervisor Williver.
Aye. Now we need a proposal to, a resolution for a highway superintendent to purchase a town of Mendon dump truck with budget funds. You want to talk to it, DJ?
So the current, it's a small dump truck. We currently have a 350 1-ton truck that we utilize throughout the whole year, but snow and ice wise is a very key component to what we do. It's a 2012. It is in much need of a new transmission, which is about $4,500 to $5,500, depending on who you ask. I've asked a handful of people. So it's in pretty rough shape. The town of Mendon is selling a 2018 Ford F-550 with a 3.5 yard Salter with a 9-foot Fisher snowplow. Currently has about 31,500 miles on it. The one we have has close to 70,000 miles on it. A price of a new one is about 100 grand. So this one they have through Roy Teetsworth or RTI auctions have given it an estimate between $26,000 and $30,000. The town of Mendon says that they will sell it to the town of Rush for $28,000. I feel that, you know, it gains us quite a bit of ground for, you know, another 4 years before we can, you know, afford to replace this one that I would like to purchase now.
Mhm.
You know, maybe it lasts longer than that, I hope. But it's the one that we do have is going to need a new transmission before winter. I feel this is very, very adequate or a very good deal to kind of step into a truck that's so-called problem-free and to be able to maintain our highways for a few more years
Plus
before we spend another $100,000.
I also go from steel body to aluminum,
So,
so.
yeah, it's, you know,
What were you gonna do with the old truck?
the old truck, if you guys will agree to this, I will at the next meeting present a resolution for a disposition, to try to sell it to sell it at auction at the municipal auction at Monroe County. We have some other equipment that has been replaced that we still have that needs to be auctioned off for this October coming auction at the Monroe County Fleet Center. So,
we're not going to spend the money for a new transmission. We're just gonna auction it off as is.
yeah, and that will also be sold with a 9-foot snowplow with a stainless steel sander in it. That was the sander, or the Salter that's in it was also bought used at the time when we bought this in 2012. So I feel that it's probably a pretty significant upgrade to what we do have, so.
Sounds good. Thank you, PJ.
A motion,
I so move to authorize the highway superintendent's purchase of a town of Mendon surplus and available for disposition for a 2018 dump truck with budgeted highway funds in the amount of $28,000. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Morale,
Aye.
Councilman Chase,
Aye.
Councilman Kies,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Williver.
Aye.
Before we go on further, I got one more resolution I gotta read for the veterans.
Okay,
We'll keep them separate now.
all right,
Yeah, he's gonna,
Okay, good.
okay, it's just, we gotta.
Yeah.
Derek, you do that to 7:45 since we did 7:15, 7:30.
Yep.
Thank you.
I so move to schedule a public hearing of local law to be determined of 2024 to amend veteran exemption laws on September 11th, 2024 at 7:45 PM at the offices of Rush Town Hall, 5977 East Henrietta Road, Rush, New York, 14543. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilwoman Morale,
Aye.
Councilman Chase,
Aye.
Councilman Kies,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Williver.
Aye. I'm gonna go a little bit out of order here. I told Pat I would let her go first, and I I'm already
Okay,
through,
Dan.
I'm already through 3 and I haven't. Hey, did you just
okay.
want to talk to us about the grant that's been offered from Monroe County for the town of Rush?
Good evening, everyone. This is a positive.
Yep.
I could talk about this.
Talking good.
Anybody that knows me knows I really don't need this, but. So anyway, you all have a letter from Adam Bello related to funds from COVID that did not get expended. That they sent back out to all the towns in $6 million worth of funds. That they have split up based on population for youth and elderly in Monroe County areas. And of course, ours was 38,000. And we have to use it for youth or elderly programming or equipment. So I did call the Rush Seniors President Linda Price. And I spoke to her briefly and she said that next year is the seniors' 60th year for their group coming up. So they're going to discuss how they can best utilize having a program for their 60th year. I also spoke to my after school staff and they're not really sure other than just equipment that we need to replace what we could use that money on. The biggest thing is we have to let the county know by September 20th whether or not we're going to accept that money. And if we decline taking that money, another town gets our money. So I know we probably could spend it 38,000 for youth and elderly. So I would really like for the town board to accept this Monroe County money that they're giving all the
And then we
towns.
give them, do you need to give them the specifics at that time, Jim?
Probably, I don't know.
It didn't sound like it
No,
with
it
what you
sounds.
said.
No,
Let's
it's,
just
no,
put
it's,
Say, yeah, we want it.
yeah, we just need to let them know at this point that
Very
we
good.
want to accept the money and that we're going to utilize it for programming and equipment. And then at a later time, we would have to supply them with a list of everything and how we spent the money. They're going to want,
Okay.
obviously, some type of ledger of how the money was spent. So
What about a water park?
we could.
Splash pad.
Well, it has to be youth and elderly. We only are getting 38,000. The town of Henrietta is getting 500,000.
A lot more people.
Yeah, I know.
That's a
But-
suggestion my wife has had for a while.
Oh, I think it's a great idea and I totally agree with her on that. So I would totally accept having a water park. I think that would be awesome, but
Pretty
on-
sure Henrietta's.
yeah. Yeah, they're doing the water park, so
We've got the falls.
we do have the falls. That water be kind of for a water park, but you
That's
know.
fine, Pat. Don't-
I swam in there as a kid. I'm.
So, yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there because we do have a deadline of the 20th and we need to get back to the county and let them know whether or not we're going to take the money and spend it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you very much,
Thank you,
everybody.
Pat. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Yeah.
See a resolution on that or?
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess I could read it. I don't know if you need to. So I so move, that, we should apply for the state and local recovery funds, SLFRF, for municipal senior/youth congregate programming funding from Monroe County in the amount of $38,203.66 to be used for purpose of equipment and expand the town's ability to serve youth and seniors within the community, which is not limited to vans or bus transportation to municipal recreation centers, kitchen equipment for congregate meals, sports equipment, class supplies, etc. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Raleigh,
Aye.
Councilman Chase,
Aye.
Councilman Kies,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Williver.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Citizen Solar Committee, Janet Glocker and Amber Corbin have been keeping an eye on solar developments. Large scale around the town, kind of reporting to Luther. They'd like to form a committee. I don't know what anyone else has to think about that. Open to discussion.
Well, Janet sent me a charge that we sent over to David there. They've been pretty much staying right on top of the solar issues and then keeping me abreast and then Dan, I pass on if Dan hasn't known about it. Normally he knows pretty much the same time I'm telling him, but I don't know if I give him any new information, but I guess it came back that we're just gonna have them as an advisory to us or to me. And I don't know what we're gonna do here. I don't know.
I did forward the charge to everybody.
Yeah.
I would like, well, as far as I know, it's Amber and Janet. I'd like to have them to continue to report to Luther and we have the engineering firm that can, we get the information from Luther. Or it's coming to me too, it doesn't matter. And then we can look into it from there. But I don't really know if we need to set up another committee. I think we could do it more simply. I don't know what anyone else thinks.
I think, go ahead.
I kind of had the same feeling though. I like, as much as I appreciate what you guys do, I don't know whether another committee is needed for that. I mean, when we have a town engineer that looks at all these things, that was kind of my feeling.
So the engineer looks into part of it. And that's good. It's a necessary part of all the stuff we've got going on. We've got, 3 active solar facilities now. To my knowledge, there's 2 other potential ones hanging out there. So in addition just what the engineers do, there's other things involving state agencies, other funds, and being kind of, looking over, there's other things that the engineers are not going to do with regard to the build out, excuse me, of these solar facilities. And I think just another set of eyes and ears from 2 people who are been intimately involved in the town solar projects from the beginning. And Amber Corbin was the town liaison with the attorneys and the engineers and knows all of the laws and the agreements very, very well. So I think, again, it's just advisory and they're gonna work with Luther. And Luther's gonna bring it to your attention and the rest of us, and just another set of eyes and ears watching what goes on, because the engineers are not charged with to make sure things get done or other things under the agreements are adhered to, or whatever else they may do and bring to your attention about law changes. What's happening in Albany with regard to these plans, there's always stuff in the mix. So I think you've got 2 committed people who could really help. Again, it's advisory.
I love what they're doing, and I think they can do it just by reporting it to Luther or me, and then we can take it from there, what needs to be acted on, what needs to be done to move forward, and I think we can handle it that way. I don't think we need to set up another committee. That's just my point.
It's just giving them some official
But I
acknowledgement.
appreciate what they're doing, and I think they can continue to do it. It's just,
Why would they continue to do it unless they have some
I think-
acknowledgement from the town?
I think they're doing it because they have concern about this large scale solar
Well,
projects.
sure they
And-
do, but it's benefiting everybody. So I
And
want
it
some
can-
official acknowledgement as to what they're doing for the town. It's only helping.
I also agree with Dan. I really appreciate everything Janet and Amber are doing. I had reached out to Janet with a friend of mine that had an issue, and Janet was the first person that came to mind when she asked me about it. They're very knowledgeable. They're on top of things. I take everything that they bring to this board or bring to Luther to bring to this board. I really appreciate them keeping us aware of all that. Again, I agree with Dan and Derek's point. I don't know that another committee is necessary. I go back to my stance with the whole tree committee thing, it was the same thing for me where I didn't. My point with that was I didn't think we needed another committee in town at that time, and as much as I appreciate everything that Janet and Amber do, I don't believe that we need to have a committee to do that. We have a competent attorney that understands solar law. Our engineers have been involved with us on a lot of these solar projects. And with the input in those, what these guys watching and reporting to the town board, as Janet does quite often, I believe that that's sufficient, and that's my take on it.
Yeah,
Want to speak?
sure.
I understand that you appreciate the work that Amber and I have done and are willing to continue to do. I'd like to talk to you about turbulence. On April 28th, Luther came to my house for a briefing. Derek, you couldn't come. And we were a third of the way through the briefing when Luther said, "Holy cow, we can't keep track of this. Would you, Janet and Amber, be our eyes and ears?" Luther said, "I need to talk to Dan Bolivar about it." He did. Luther got back to Amber and me and said, "Yes, that would be good." But in the meeting with Luther, I said, we have to somehow figure out who is going to do what so that things don't slip through the cracks. This is the turbulence that I'm trying to address. So at May 8th, which was the very next town board meeting, Dan Bolivar, you asked me to write something up, which I have called the draft charge. I don't know if you all have seen the draft charge, but I assume you have. And at that meeting, Mr. Overton, you said that you would help. Amber found some new leases. And we told Luther. And we advised that Ben Wisniewski ought to be contacted. The new leases are with the gentleman from Avon. I'm having a senior moment.
Bruce?
Mr. Howell. We don't know what those leases are. We think we do, but we don't know. And no one knows about that.
One was for changing a lease to bury underground stuff, and one was to cut back on the number of panels that were going up.
Cutting back on the number of panels is an interesting concept. So anyway, we sent the draft charge to Luther. It moved back and forth, I guess, between Luther and Dan Bolivar and Mr. Overton. We believe that the draft charge was sent to Mr. Overton on June 24th because he said he's going to work on it.
I said I was gonna work in the committee, but to your point.
All right. So this is the turbulence that happens. And if nobody is tracking the turbulence and saying, has this been done? Has that been done? Has the other thing been done? We're going to be here 6 months from now saying, well, I thought you did that. Well, no, but I don't remember exactly how that happened. You folks are busy. And that's what Luther said on April the 28th, that you folks are busy. The dynamics of this board with the jobs that you have are such that things slip through the cracks. And my hope is that solar in this town doesn't slip through the cracks. There's dollars that should be in the town budget now because it was part of the leftover intervenor funds.
We received that money, 42,000.
We did?
Yes,
When?
March, I believe.
Okay, great. I'm glad. At least that happened. I'm concerned with everything that's coming at us. that things will go awry. We are responsible for archaeological monitoring. We would have to hire people for that. We would have to train people for that. We would have to have job descriptions for that. Are you ready to do that? Because when it happens, it's gonna happen fast. And we are responsible. So I don't want to be responsible for an ill-defined series of activities based on my love for this town and my concern for solar. And I'm just trying to lock down how things might happen with a lot less turbulence. Thank you.
Thank you.
So anyway, my point was they could help me, help us. Like I said, we're all busy in heck, and I know Dan, he spends a lot of time here, but do we really follow the solar people that tight? That was my initial thought process, but when I got on the town board, I know Derek got on there, a lot of stuff got thrown at us quick. And even today, there's still a lot about the solar farms that I'm still learning about. Right? I don't have all the answers. So I thought a set of eyes and ears would help. So help follow it and track it. But whatever the board, town board wants to do, you know.
So. Anyone?
I got give it some thought.
I think formal recognition to people who are spending so much time and effort and knowledge to share with the town on an advisory basis. They have no power, they're advisory, and we're giving them formal recognition is a no-brainer.
Why don't we think about it till next week?
I mean, you can make a, you know, I can be the guy, you know, make a report to me and I'll bring it to the town board, you know, make it easier for you.
Let's think about it till next week. We need to vote for an approval to repair the sprinkler system. There's two things that haven't been done since '09 that are supposed to be done at least every 5 years, so we're a little bit behind, but we had a price on that, it's around $5,000.
That's to fix all the stuff that's.
There's an air leak in the dry system that they have to locate and repair, and they have to examine the inside of the wet system. That's supposed to be done every 5 years, and it hasn't been.
I think it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
Check out.
Yeah, especially considering what happened in the library.
Yeah, it's, yeah,
So is it the 3750?
Yeah,
no, it's around 5,000.
on here it says 37.
Oh, maybe that is,
That's what it says in the resolution. I don't know.
You wanted to say not to exceed 5,000?
better not to exceed 5,000. That was a couple,
Was 5,000?
Not to exceed.
not to exceed 5,000. It might have been 3,700. I can't,
We'll
yeah.
be covered.
That's what I pulled out of what you sent me, but maybe it says more.
I don't know if that was just the wet system and not the
Okay.
dry system.
And that's defining air leak.
Yeah.
I so move to approve to authorize the supervisor's signature for sprinkler performance repairs, including hydrostatic testing, internal obstruction and leakage exams, and checking of valves by Davis Ulmer Fire Protection, 300 Metro Park, Rochester, New York, 14623, in the amount not to exceed $5,000. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Raleigh,
Aye.
Councilman Chase.
Aye.
Councilman Kies,
All right,
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Supervisor Williver.
Discussion of video conferencing. We're trying something different tonight. It's on YouTube.
Well, no, it's not.
Well, if you don't mind if I speak to this, I have sent the board, a chart of all of Monroe County. and what Monroe County town clerks do versus what the AV department or their IT department does, of which we do not have an AV, we do not have an IT department on site. I know somebody has suggested that we do have that. For the last 2 or 3 years, the town clerks combined have gone to the town board and asked, can we have somebody here to do that? We did get some information. However, the costs, I believe, were too astronomical to have someone come to a meeting every single time. Today, I have sat here with 3 clerks and myself, looking at the system, trying to check it one way versus the other. It worked absolutely perfectly. Do we have to sit here and hold something? It doesn't work as fast as you're working on a computer. If one of you would like to do that on a computer, like a former board member did, that's fine, have at it, because there are idiosyncrasies that happen, just like what happened this evening. I went to put it on this afternoon. There was no feedback. We tested the system. Tonight, when we put it on exactly the way that we did it, we had a step-by-step. My deputy was here just to follow, just to make sure we did it. And there's feedback. So I have to upload it tomorrow. So talking to the supervisor, because as the chart that I gave you with all of the towns in Monroe County, nobody uses Zoom. Nobody uses the chat, and they either have an IT or a moderator for a cable TV program that handles all of that. And it gets uploaded at some point later or during the meeting to YouTube. And most of them have a channel. We don't have that. I don't think that we should spend the money to have a TV channel. So the supervisor and I discussed this. He would like anyone that would like to give comment to the board to provide it in writing to him before 3 p.m. of the meeting date. If there's a public hearing, then people should come in person or write it ahead of time. And that has happened years from years and at other towns as well. So it's not something that is just something made up. It will solve a problem of the technology things in the office. It'll solve a problem of different clerks going round and round, different staff coming round and round, and save the administrative work to be done for what a clerk is actually responsible in doing. And I think some of you have voiced the same thing of, why do we have all of this different technology? When we were in the COVID pandemic, we did have all of this technology coming at us and we had to develop things for each town. So we did do that. What the residents said was that they couldn't hear things. They could see things, they were here, but the biggest thing is they couldn't hear things. That's why we got this system. This system gave us microphones, it gave us a computer that we have right now that has a 1-year warranty that's in this system. We also pay $18.60, I believe, every year to have that system. That's a cost that we're willing to take on so that our residents can have it visually at home later on or during, if we can get it to work during the meeting, so that they can see it and they can be informed.
I want to have the meeting available to people while the meeting's going on. And if they have comments, either show up or send in comments so they can be part of the meeting. That's just what I'm shooting.
That seems fair to me.
I agree. I read an email that a resident had sent, and it was, don't do away with all of it, find an alternative. And I think if just streaming it on YouTube, and like you said, send in your comments, get them before or show up,
the the stuff not working is just so infuriating that if we can simplify it and still supply what we need to supply, I think that's what we gotta shoot.
And it's infuriating and it's embarrassing at the same time to me and the other clerks too, when it doesn't work. Cause it looks like we don't know how to use the equipment.
Well, I think to that point, it's embarrassing for all of us as well, not just you.
Well,
Well, it is,
Yeah.
It's a reflection of all of us.
Yeah.
my job is to take a summary of the minutes, provide the minutes, take the vote and make sure the public is aware of what happens. And the decisions being made. So I would really appreciate, I have been working with our attorney because there are some different things that we have to change in the processes and the laws that we have already put in place so that we can change them. Originally with Public Officers Law 103A, I believe, there was some misunderstanding of how we all interpreted that on saying that we had to have a Zoom, we had to have it on video, it had to be done all the time. Some of the board members had gone to training. I talked to the Association of Towns Attorneys. I talked to our attorney. That is a misconception of it only having to happen in extenuating circumstances or someone's deathly sick. We have the ability now to include our board members if for some reason they're working out of town and have to be on, or our staff members have to give a report or a presentation. That will happen. And that we will have the ability, and anyone in the public that has a computer can see it on YouTube. They might not see it during the meeting that night because as we found out tonight, it's not happening, or maybe we have an outage or something. And we can't get it up on Spectrum or something like that, because that does happen. You're shaking your head. So that's what we sort of have come up with.
Is there a way that we can address Mr. Morelli's concern about who's speaking? I know we have a general tendency just to speak out, but I know he was wondering who was speaking, because I guess on YouTube you don't see that or something. I don't know.
No, you
No,
do.
last week or last town board meeting, it wasn't video. It was just the voice recording.
Oh,
And that made
but
it.
that's not normal.
No, that's not, we're still, we're still, it's a work in progress. I think we have a solution.
Yeah, the when we had a little bit of a interruption in our meeting and I had to shut it down. From that point, talking to our attorney and the supervisor, we decided at this point, we'll record the meeting.
Okay.
And not have a visual. Just
Okay, I
in case
misunderstood.
in
It was just
case
because of
something,
that incident, really.
yeah,
Okay,
But
because that does.
Now we're gonna have YouTube.
right.
It'll have,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were addressing the fact that.
Yep.
That was dealt with.
So apologize to our resident Morelli that did happen tonight because it was a last minute try to like make sure we worked it out this evening or this afternoon to get it to be right.
And this is not the only town that's doing this. There's other municipalities and other boards that are having the same issue. I was actually on a meeting of a different board on Monday night. And we had a similar visitor to the meeting. So it's pretty prevalent.
So I appreciate all the work that's being done to try and find a solution, and I agree if we can't come to it any other way using Zoom, but I'd like to talk about that too. To at least have it live streaming on YouTube is better than nothing. I've heard from a lot of residents how much they enjoy being able to either watch it while it's happening. There are seniors who can't get here. There are parents with young children who can't get out. There are people who are working or just getting home. And they told me they talk about have a life, but they actually, get home from work, get dinner on, pull up the town board meeting so that they could still see what's going on
Boy.
and watch it while they're eating dinner, talk about commitment. So this is real. These are people who have told me these things. So, I do think we need to, stay current, and why wouldn't we want to do that for our residents? Why wouldn't we want to include as many people as we can? Now, having said all that, like if we need to get one of our consultants in to help you with equipment wise, we should do that.
We have.
I'm just saying, you had a
I-
problem today. I don't know why feedback.
I'm continuing to say, if you would like to learn how to do this and you would like to do it, have at it, because a town clerk's responsibility is to do the minutes. That is what is required by statute, by law, to have a summary for the public, so the public knows what happens. Having something on the internet is something additional and extra that we are providing to our residents so that they can hear things and they can contribute in any way. The supervisor is offering anyone to submit anything in writing. It happens the same way as when we keep open a public hearing for any comments to keep filtering in, so the 5 town board members can make an educated decision or make a decision for the community. So I'm falling back on my responsibilities as a clerk, and the same thing with a building clerk or any other clerk in New York State, in the United States. This is the job that is required of us. The additional stuff is stuff that we provide for our community. So if technically, if you're a teacher, you have to provide this to your classroom. So you have to learn it because you are providing it to your classroom. Then that's their job. My job is not to provide the visual to the residents. My job is to put it in writing and have it as a historic record. And I'll stand on that.
I'm not saying anything to the contrary. I'm just saying it was been a very nice benefit that we have provided to the community.
But we still are.
And I'm glad we're going to at least live stream it so people can see it in real time. Which, I'm hoping we can get that straightened out. But just so you know, Zoom can also be configured so that the person running the meeting has complete control. And I've been on many conferences where you are automatically blocked from visual and verbal. And you're just there watching it. And if you have a question, you type in a question in the chat function and they answer it live time in, a lot. And I'm sure you've been on training seminars where they
That's
do
your
that.
job to do that.
No,
on
I'm just
webinars.
saying that there
It's
is a
not
way
my
that
job.
Zoom does have that functionality that you block out all access. It is a function of Zoom too. I just wanted to throw that out there,
Yeah,
that
and
you
the-
won't
the
have
fun-
the hacker like we
the
had.
function that we are providing to the town board, the town staff, is anyone that has an email for the town, because they're town employees. They have the opportunity, like if you see right now, there's 4 participants. The 4 participants are actual staffers of the town that can come on, can be live, and can see it live if it is not on Zoom at the moment, so that they are informed.
I'm just saying that can be done on a broad basis and still have the control. It has that function. Just want to throw that out there.
Function that we did have, and it's something that no other clerk in all of Monroe County has that responsibility. If the town board would like to hire someone to do that, we don't have an IT person on site. We don't have an AV person on site. That's not my call.
All right, we'll move ahead with the meetings the way they are for now and.
Thanks, Ron.
Get them live.
See what kind of, yes.
Get them live
Get
streamed
them
on
live,
YouTube.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like people to be able to see
I would
and
like
hear
them to
that can't
I
get here.
Yes, I would too. I think we have to supply that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we've done the grant stuff, the mixed use zoning map. We might need to adjust the extent of the mixed use hamlet zone. There's a. I'm part of this group, but this. The Catholic Church is kind of a landmark in the town. There's a group that are trying to save it. And I'm a member of this group. But I kind of think it's in the best interest of the town to save the church. I don't know what anyone else thinks. That could be but there's a proposal to put a theater, community center, coffee place in the church. And it's not allowed in the district, but the church is just across the street from the mixed use hamlet district where it would be allowed. So there was a suggestion that we expand the mixed use hamlet to not only include the Catholic Church, but also to go up to the Methodist Church, which may have a use that isn't allowed in it's R2 district that's there. Otherwise, it's gonna be left vacant and probably fall into more disrepair than it is now. And it could extend to the apartment building that's next door to the Methodist Church, just the whole.
You're talking about the old Methodist church?
Yes.
The old, yeah.
Yeah, the old Methodist Church. It would.
Is that's the one you're talking about, including that?
Yes,
okay,
including the old, up to.
The old one,
The old
okay.
Methodist Church and the apartment building that's right next to it.
yeah.
I could be mistaken, but I thought during some of the discussions regarding the mixed use hamlet and the overall district, I thought there was discussions about churches, and again, I apologize if I didn't realize they weren't part of that mapped area, but I know that there was some discussion around, I couldn't remember if it was.
There was a lot of discussion
in or
on
out,
on
officially,
where
but I
where
know there
the
was-
boundaries of the hamlet were. And we talked, and there's also a couple other properties.
Yeah, why is that? I thought we were gonna.
I thought there,
We talked about,
That's
Yeah,
what I
we were
thought,
gonna-
and I thought the map had been revised.
The one of the apartment and,
Right, that came up.
yeah, I thought we'd gone, not point to Boulder Creek, but
yeah, I thought we had along, but apparently it's not. So I would like to update.
I think really what it is gonna effectively be is correcting the map to reflect what the intent was when the local home was adopted.
And there's two properties, the park on the north side of the creek. Should be included. I have it marked out on my map.
so I drew it on mine.
Yeah, I didn't bring mine up.
I thought we had included those too.
Yeah.
That's
The-
the
the
Miller,
issue-
Miller and the Vince Bank property.
Hmm?
That's the Miller and the Vince Bank property. Yes.
so the hamlet boundary is kind of an informal, it's not defined anywhere except in
Yeah.
what we thought it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In our maps in the comprehensive plan. Now, the part that we talked about, we created that mixed use.
Yes.
For the hamlet.
Yep.
But right now, there is. Most of it is zoned commercial,
Well, it's,
a lot of it.
yeah. The original.
This
The original.
part, This
Yeah,
kind of hub. So. What we're talking about and the place, with the two churches, that.
Yep.
That area. That way.
Yeah.
Okay, is in currently zoned residential.
yes.
So we're talking about making it clear, I think with some kind of delineation, what addresses we're talking about including, so that, because that would be changing the zoning, from residential
Mhm,
to mixed use.
mhm. John?
I was on the committee,
I would.
worked on, the mixed use, zone. And I thought, I was almost positive that we had at one point decided to include the south side of that road.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
all those
Yeah.
buildings would have been included in, all the way up
They're,
to.
they're included in the hamlet. The way it was defined, but the new zoning, the mixed use hamlet zone didn't pick up those properties.
Okay.
That's,
I think that's the same map that was the original proposal.
Yeah.
That was thrown out, that it doesn't appear to be the final version. So I
Oh,
think my hands on the
okay.
final version.
Yeah,
That's,
I
I think
remember.
that, because
okay,
there was a depiction of what the ham was going to be originally. I think that's what that represents, but I know the committee had several iterations of
Yeah.
what you guys were contemplating including that this board discussed. I just don't believe it's accurately
Yeah, because
reflected.
we had a lengthy discussion
Yeah,
about properties on the south side of.
I know,
Yeah.
and I,
15,
I think it's
kinda
always our
thought that was
intention.
Yeah,
to include everything that we felt was
right. We
Yeah.
talked about going,
more than just residential.
because we had talked about even going further down 15A
closer to
potentially.
Bowling Green.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean, we had talked about a bunch of different variations, but I thought. Cause I thought we even tried getting the Catholic Church in there
I kinda thought-
originally when we did
Yeah,
that.
I thought so. So.
I think
so
mine-
they might be
Mine at
a
home,
lighter
because I
version.
marked it up.
I've got
But
to see
what
if
we
I can
included.
write that down.
Yeah.
Let's find a version or create the later version, so we've got the accurate map.
yeah,
So that it clearly includes that,
Yeah,
so anybody
this
that's
was
wanting
an
to
old
invest in
iteration.
that can
No.
do what they want to do.
yeah, this is old. I don't know if this was, this is an update. I don't know, maybe they weren't.
It was the map that I'd received. I didn't create the map, so I've
Yeah,
got
I-
to figure out where it came from and make sure that we get the one that is the final version.
Yeah.
I
And,
wonder,
It will necessitate, because it was attached to our local law, we'll
Yeah.
have to have a public hearing on it, but I mean, it should be straightforward. It's merely
Just
to correct the map that was attached to the local law number, whatever it is for
Okay.
this year. So we will need to go through that process, but I'd like to at least get that process started to make sure that what we have.
Yeah.
What the town's intent for the mixed use hamlet is reflected by the properties that are supposed to be within that hamlet.
I wonder if John Limbeck, through any of his connections with that Monroe County, with the mapping, if he has any way to get a map where it would give us the addresses where it would actually show, or do you think that something like that's?
We have a map that has all the addresses.
Yeah, the addresses, we'll just.
Yeah,
get the
we
addresses
have
and
that.
see.
We can,
Yeah, it'd be a
but
clearer
we
map
can
than that.
delineate,
'Cause
yeah.
we had even talked about, because I remember distinctly talking about like the post office,
Yeah.
how that wasn't even a legal use of that building
Yeah.
where.
Yeah,
There's a couple other buildings up to there.
But that is on the north side
yeah,
of,
yeah.
so it would be,
But
it would
that-
have been,
Well, it's not in the, it's not in that red area,
It's outside of the,
mixed use hamlet.
okay,
and-
let's
and
see what the
should-
map is that was attached to the law, and then we can expand it.
That's the map that's attached to the law. We have to expand that.
Yeah.
okay,
But
I gotta look.
the law says, is it saying only the red?
yes,
Oh, I see.
yes.
Yeah, I get it, I
Yes.
get it.
You gotta
Yeah.
get that
Okay.
red area. to
Expanded.
reflect- To reflect what the intent of the town is.
Right. Yep. Okay,
So we'll get that cleaned up, but it will necessitate a public hearing, but I want to get the map to everybody before we schedule.
Yeah.
Because when we schedule a
Okay.
public hearing, the map will be part of the notice.
corrected.
And we need to make sure that when we notice it, it's,
good.
and then
Okay.
then we'll have the public hearing and, go through the process and.
Yeah,
send that to
so
the
I
town
can
for
go.
the state for the clarification, then. The two will.
Yeah.
manage.
Yep.
Good.
Good.
Okay. And. It looks like we've reached the end of the business of the town and. I'll make a motion that we adjourn, since we're gonna talk about the budget. All in favor?
I
Bye.
And you don't. need to-
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Or silver.
Something.
I guess so.
That's the only thing.
Yeah, there's one in the fridge.
No, it was eating.
Okay.
Bottom shelf.
Yeah.
DJ asked if he could go first, this event's
Use chocolate.
gonna be.
Oh.
Help yourself. You've been eating way too many.
I'm gonna see if you have a sandwich, I know. Start eating it.
Do we have anything else other than the highway we're gonna talk about tonight?
So highway, the clerks and Mike.
Okay, because we didn't get yours.
Yeah, I just handed them out like I did last time.
You're gonna hand them out short.
I'm saying I don't have anything.
I'm gonna hand them out like I did last time, right before. That way you can follow along as I go.
Okay. I guess I would appreciate it in advance, but because I like to look at these things and think about them, but.
Thanks, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
Well, here it is. We can go page by page. I've got every account that is in my, I guess, what I am responsible for is in this packet. You'll notice in the second page or the first page, the top part is highway revenues. We're gonna be plus about $120,000 for 2025.
I had one question on that one, Deej. On your interest.
Yep.
It shows your income went from 1,100 to 40,000. But the variance, it only shows 1,100.
Yeah, some of that, I'm by no means a computer wizard,
Okay.
so, it's probably just my own fault that I didn't carry it over there.
Okay, but will that, because it's probably an Excel sheet, is that gonna change that 120? Is that gonna bump that? It won't? Okay, okay.
Oh. I was gonna say, it might, so we, without.
In past. But I was handed this Excel program down from
Mhm.
Mr. David. In the past, that number was probably $1,100. Since Janice has kind of been taking over things and investing our money as far as like our fund balance and stuff like that, I mean, it's increased significantly,
Okay.
so.
We do know that rates are going down. Are these still,
Yeah, we still plan on a lower amount, that's what I.
so is the 40 a good number or is that overstating based
No,
on
that's understated, right?
taking into account that
Yeah.
interest rates are going down?
Yeah, I always underestimate revenues and overestimate costs. Because I like to spend less and think more.
I appreciate that.
So the main increase is gonna be the CHIPS money.
40,000 is correct.
Yes. Which the CHIPS money is the Consolidated Highway Improvement Program, which we get approximately, $71,000 from the state every year for capital projects on our town roads. We are not spending hardly much of that this year, anticipating a big job, which you'll see throughout the packet or in the packet, of about $225,000 for Wardell Road to redo the entire road. Grinding it up, in place cold recycle, stone and oil, getting it back to where it could be managed with not a lot of cost from what it is now, so.
Do you have any input? Does the town have any input as to how much CHIPS money we get?
No, it's granted by the state. Every year in March, the highway superintendents of the entire state go to Albany to advocate for this money.
It's federal,
last-
it's federal money?
I believe it's bonded money, so the state is borrowing this money to give to us.
Oh, okay.
So as of right now, if I use this money, CHIPS money on a town road, I cannot go back to that town road and spend CHIPS money for 10 years.
Okay.
I can spend out of my highway budget money on that road, but I cannot use CHIPS money. And so the CHIPS money, the way it works is that once we spend it, we have to have the money to get the money. So once I spend it and have the canceled checks, I turn them in to do the state, and then they reimburse us for.
But they
that.
tell you what your limit is that you for
Yes.
reimbursement.
Every
Okay.
year they send us a sheet that says, this is how much you get.
So how do we know we're gonna get another 100,000?
We don't.
So why would we put another 100,000 in the
we're
revenue budget?
anticipating. My crystal ball says we're gonna get it. If we don't do the road project.
Okay,
That, it's plain and simple.
okay.
So, I mean, if we do not receive that CHIPS money or have that CHIPS money in our account, we will not spend it on that road.
Okay,
So this is assuming you can do that road for $174,000.
It's gonna be about 225.
Oh, so that's only a portion of it.
Yes.
Gotcha. Well, you'll know,
Well,
you
the
have CHIPS money.
Yeah, the
for-
CHIPS and then the paved New York, which is $22,000, which. You go to page. Page 10. Page 11. Estimated cost is $225,000. Kind of at the bottom, it breaks down. CHIPS and paved New York money is gonna cover about 196,000 of that. And that we'll be using 28,500.
Basically stated,
So,
but you'll know whether you have the CHIPS money before you.
before we do the job, for sure. The next column, the point ones are just payroll. So like 5110, it's just maintenance of town roads, that's just miscellaneous. That's where we'd spend our other $24,000. That 5112, the second one down, that would be just the payroll for completing that capital work on that CHIPS project or that capital project. That's what payroll would cost us, or it's going to cost us. Machinery and shop, you know, that's wintertime stuff when we're in, working on equipment, doing that kind of stuff, we're not out on the road.
So if I remember correctly, Mark had, or Mr. David had, you do the same thing. That's why everybody's job duty for the day is recorded,
Yes.
so that it's billed accordingly.
Yeah, and our daily worksheets break down to what each account they were working with working in to withdraw their payroll. I mean, that money can all be shifted around at the end of the year for a little short one, get a little extra in the other, it all kind of, balances itself out. Town, just snow removal upon town roads alone is, approximately budgeted at about $44,000. A little over that.
And the services for other governments, you get that back.
Yes, that is revenue back to the town from either the state of New York or the Monroe County. Some of it is from snow removal, some of it is summer work.
Yep.
Equipment and capital outlay, that 5130.2. Last year we spent $55,000. This year I had in there 160, anticipating having to buy a new 1-ton for 2025. So that's why that is at $160,000. I'm still planning on buying another Ford F-250 to replace the 2013 truck that we have.
So even with this one we're getting from Mendon, we're still budgeting for another new one for next year.
Yep.
What about your payloader? Are you gonna do that?
There's some things coming up that we'll get to that.
Okay.
Keep that thought.
All right.
So.
I just saw equipment was empty, so I figured I'd
Yeah.
ask a question.
Well, that equipment, as you asked, is the 5112. You can also use that CHIPS money to purchase equipment. Has to be brand new equipment. It has to be. You have to present it to New York State. And get their okay in order to buy it before you purchase it.
With CHIPS money.
With CHIPS money, yes. So that's what that one is set playing. We've always used it towards road improvements.
So it's one or the other.
Yeah,
Can't be both.
it can be both. But the road project's quite a bit of money, so at this point. You know, maybe years to come when we get things, hopefully get things caught up a little bit. So. Our contractual expenditures, you know. Maintenance of town roads, 5,000 higher, 50,000 this year. Cost asphalt, cost everything's. Up. That 45,000's been that number for. Since 2010.
Which one?
The very top one, the 5110.4. The second one down goes back to that CHIPS thing. Where, you know, last year we received 101.2, or, yeah, 101,200. This year we are spending about 48,000. That's what you did 2 weeks ago when we did that 284 agreement. Is what I have to do, present to you guys so that you know where the money is going. Spend that money out of that account. We're currently paving Mill and Creekside, also assisting the fire department in paving their parking lot. Machinery, 105,000, that's just for, that includes repairs, fuel, tires, the whole, you know, the whole 9 yards. Snow removal is 43,000, that's just salt cost. I've estimated salt at $70 a ton this year. Hopefully it's gonna be cheaper than that, but typically every year it's gone up. You know, $4 to $6 a ton. So this year we paid $66.23 a ton.
Have you found that you're using a lot less salt than you? Than maybe it's
No,
the
not
start of
really.
your
I
career?
think last year we used more
Oh, yeah.
because of the weather conditions
Yeah.
where it would rain.
Yeah.
And not snow, but the ground was cold. We didn't have to plow it, but we had to use more salt because
Yeah.
it continued to freeze. So the $102,000, that's to buy salt for New York State and Monroe County, which is reimbursed. Go to page 2. within the wages, I increased everybody's wages by 3.3%. Just kind of, you know, going by what everything else seems to be, and in speaking with Janice, that was kind of the number that was, you know, poking around, so.
Minimum wage went up 3.3% and caused Hurston bumped everybody at the library up 3.3%, so there's no compression of salaries, and so a junior
Yep.
clerk won't be making
Yeah,
the same.
I did the same with.
So it seemed. Yeah.
The A 5110.1. You know, that's my salary. The 0.2 is just office expenses. We're gonna need some new technology down there. You know, up until this point, we've been taking used computers out of the basement of this place down there. So,
I was gonna ask you if you were gonna buy a new computer.
yeah, even them are, you know, starting to not keep up with the technology that we need to.
At some point, you can't update them at all.
That's right. So I got $1,200 in there to replace. That was through our computer guy that kind of helps us all out here at the town hall and highway department.
As a note, on the phone system we were looking at, we might get a better deal through our.
Yeah, I saw that
Steve-
you said
Steve-
this, that, right?
Steve Tanner. So we're still looking at that, but we could save some money. This is a side note. Sorry, DJ.
Oh, you're fine. That 0.4 is just, like, when I go to highway school and do the stuff that, you know, where I go to learn how to do my job better throughout the year. The next one down at the A 5132.4, fairly self-explanatory of
In general, how are we doing this current year against the budget? We don't get, unfortunately, our statements that we're supposed to get on a monthly basis. We got one set of statements this whole year, several months ago.
I thought I sent you now.
June, maybe. But I'm just saying, how can people budget if you don't know how you're doing current year against the current budget? Maybe you do because you track things a lot. I know you do. And so does the library, but I don't think our other department heads have a clue.
Everybody gets it every month.
They tell me they don't.
Oh, we do. We have,
I've been told by other people confidentially that they're not getting their reports.
I get mine, so.
I get mine.
Okay, good. Just saying, I only know what people have told me, and I won't tell you who to protect their.
I'm gonna see a
Privacy.
copy once in a while myself come through here.
We're supposed to, under the law, get monthly statements, so we could, I mean, we're signing off on,
I'll get better about sending them out.
thank you.
So our sidewalks, we have a guy that I budget for the whole thing, doing the sidewalks around here, which are separate from the sidewalks that are along the side of the road. Sidewalks along the side of the road are different from the ones here on this campus, so. That's fairly minimal.
Are the sidewalks on the side of the road, because they're on a state road, is that
There are the town.
to the town
town's
sidewalks?
Responsibility.
Okay.
To maintain, and that's part of under highway law, that's
Okay.
for us to maintain, or for me to maintain. Because, there was a pretty significant change. In there, so what I did this year just due to the ongoing amount of work that has become to mow the grass and the extra stuff, I put in there, I have a 40-hour-a-week part-time person for the summer from about the 15th April to about the 15th of October. So that person will take care of all the mowing and can do the gardening for the most extent of mulching, pruning, watering, a few plantings. Hopefully, if I can find somebody, that's also the next thing, but
So it's gonna be a seasonal position.
seasonal position,
40 hours a week.
Um,
So then we're not fighting with weeds, overgrowing
yeah, he
beds.
can, he can pull weeds a day a week, and he can mow grass 3 days a week, and he can water.
We used to have this when Cecil worked there?
Yeah, there was 2 guys that were both part-time, they both worked 3 days a week. So now at this point, I mean, I'm hoping to find one person to kind of come in and just take care of, what Carl's been doing. Hey, Carl does a great job, don't get me wrong, but he's very busy.
If this was in place, we wouldn't have to worry about it.
That's my hope.
That's,
Is that, I'll be able to manage this person and get him to do whatever, what, if the grass dries up, I can find something at the highway department. So. I mean,
If it was hard to find somebody, I mean, should we ever venture down the road of full-time person that does dispatch in the winter? If you can't find someone that wants to work from May to, or April to October or whatever.
So this year, kind of discussing it a little bit with Dan and, with Janice and stuff, I guess. As a group, we kind of decided that this year we would hire a seasonal person for 40 hours. And I still have a gentleman that works the night shift during the winter. He's 67 years old. He's gonna not want to do it forever. We'll see how it goes this year. Next year, we can maybe potentially make some changes. And if we needed to make that person full-time, he could do the parts and what I'm talking about now throughout the summer. And then he could work the C shift all winter long. Back to the 1st of April again, before he became a parks guy.
But then they could do sidewalks during the winter, plowing the parking lots here.
Yeah, I mean, so
Just things to keep them
70% of the winter time is paid by the state and the county. So typically that guy, when he's there, is out in a truck plowing these parking lots here, firehouse, that kind of stuff. By then, his 8-hour day or so is kind of used up, so. As of right now, we have Larry Meston. He doesn't want to do it, but he said if I can't find anybody, he'll come back. Anybody knows anybody, send them my way.
So Janice, with a part-time person seasonal, 40 hours, where do we have any obligation for benefits?
Yeah, as long as it's under 6 months, we do not.
Okay,
So that's hard to get.
okay, just good, thanks.
And as you get through the next on the page 3, this kind of breaks every single one of these lines down. Sale of access is kind of what I expect, about $4,000 out of that 2013 pickup that we're gonna sell. And that also includes like the scrap money and stuff from, old pipes that we dig out of the ground and junk we collect alongside the road. So.
So I'm just curious here. How does this tie into this page one? It's like a $40,000 difference.
Yeah, I think that's my screw up from the 40,000 with the interest rate.
So, okay. So what is the 647 the correct number?
Yes.
So. Obviously, it's going up.
Yep.
It has to. But I don't, and I know that there's something we gotta talk about, but. Capital reserve for buildings and. We wanna, and I also know that I've heard numerous conversations of doing tree work for the 100-acre park, whatever we got. That costs money. Do we, how do you feel about increasing things like that, because the trees are still coming down, right?
Sure. So I mean, you know, as of, you know, state highway law. I'm responsible for, you know, bridges, the roads, the culverts, and the sidewalks. You know, beyond that. You know, yes, I've kind of handled the park stuff, but it's not, you know. That 100-acre park and stuff like that is, you know, by no means. On the highway superintendent.
Oh,
And it's all general money that's given.
You know, the parks wise, I mean, that all comes out of an A account, which is, you know,
so it should come out of, parks should budget for that.
yeah, and that's an A account, which is, you know. DA is highway.
Okay. What about buildings? Equipment,
That's also, equipment is made, yes. If you get to page 9, which it doesn't say page 9 on the bottom, do my skills. So this is a work in progress. I got this from the town of Mendon, kind of their layout and utilized it for our own equipment. I mean, if you look down through that equipment and some of it, I think there's 11 pieces of equipment that are 20 years or older. Or going to be 20 years or older.
I bought it when I was here before.
So, we've got a long road to climb here as far as this stuff goes. Derek brought up the loader. I have that in 2026 budget. It's $275,000. New backhoe, $170,000. There's going to be an opportunity in the very near future to buy a loader, a 4-year-old loader with 1,000 hours, 1,200 hours on it. Yeah, 1,200 hours from the town of Wheatland. It's a 2020. For about $140,000.
Really?
Yeah. You know, that's, ours is a 2002 at this point. It's got 6,400 hours on it. I'm currently working to kind of get the CAT guy to commit at this point to, he's sent me paperwork saying that they'll give us 30,000 for the one we have traded. The one in Wheatland is 170. That's the actual cost. I shouldn't have said 140. Is 170. Give us 30 for the one that we own, and you know, jump in years by almost 20 years newer at this point, 18 years newer to a loader that's, you know.
What about lease?
A lot of highway departments had done that in the past, in the early 2000s. It just, you never gained any sort of equity in that stuff. So, I mean, you know,
Towns can buy it at state bid.
so,
Third of what we can buy it for. They can turn around and actually sell it for more than they paid for it. So if you get a deal on that, then right spot.
Yeah, no, that's.
yeah, I mean, if we could keep it another 4 years and then buy a new one, you know, to get us to that point, and I think eventually get to the point where the equipment that we're trading in is worth a whole lot more money than, you know, $4,000 2013 Ford F-150.
Right.
Um,
I think the biggest growing pain here is gonna be figuring out how to add your capital reserve for equipment.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
get caught up, because
yeah, I think that number needs to, I mean, you know, these new plow trucks, I have them in on this list at $320,000. I might be 30,000 short on that, or 30,000 shy on the price of that truck.
Hey, new fire trucks are going over $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I don't think we can hire enough people to shovel the streets by hand, so.
So DJ, when we, because you do work for other municipalities and you charge them, do you build in a cost of equipment to your
Yes,
rate?
we also, that is on one of these pages.
does it have numbers on?
What's that?
Does the page have numbers?
Maybe, I don't.
Page 8.
Should be page 5. No.
Payroll.
Seven, machinery. Isn't it, it's on page 1, right? Rental of equipment under revenues.
That may be a number, but what goes into that, what are we charging? Are we, obviously,
So
per piece of
that's your
equipment.
question, FEMA sets the rates that we can charge the state and the.
but is it covering the town for, like, we have to buy equipment to enable you to do that? I mean, it's
Right.
expensive equipment.
Yeah, so.
Is it worth it for us still? Are we getting covered? Because we have to have these trucks?
Yeah, so a 10-wheel dump truck is $117.11, maybe it's 13 cents an hour. Plus the person
Okay,
and their benefits.
okay,
That
so
is
that's
all-
built into what
built-
you can
Right.
charge.
So
The
if
cost of the
somebody's
equipment.
making, if somebody's making, you know, $28 an hour, we're probably getting around close to $40 an hour, because it's paying for their health insurance.
Right, the all-in cost of,
Yeah, plus the $117
for the equipment.
for that vehicle, piece of equipment.
And in your experience, are we getting adequately, is it worth our while to do that?
Well, I think to your point, our town roads aren't getting any smaller and we need that equipment to plow our own town roads. So any benefit we could do or any.
Do we? But we have employees because
No, I know.
we have to, I'm just
No, I,
want to make sure that it's worth our while, whatever we have to get
I think
to
whatever,
run this.
whatever we can do to sub out,
Generate. Right.
generate revenue. You know,
But it doesn't cost you $117 an hour to, that truck doesn't cost you. That's what you, so to answer your question, for that truck to be on that road for an hour, you're not putting $117 worth of wear and tear on that truck in that hour.
For people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
they're doing
Okay.
okay.
Okay. I want, that's,
We're-
okay.
We're in the green when we operate it.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and come winter time when we need it to do our stuff, I mean.
Yep.
We have.
True. Okay,
And, you know, with what this is all being said here is that, you know, the newer, the equipment and stuff like that is, a lot of it is newer than pay. So, I mean, it kind of goes. It's like a new salt one. New York State pays up to, for a salt barn, pays a certain percentage, and I do not know what that percentage is. Up till it's 20 years old.
Mm.
So.
Up till it's what, 20?
20, yeah.
So ours is far
I was gonna say, we've exceeded that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What was that, last year?
Yeah. It's over 30 before, I don't.
Thanks.
And that 4,800 tractor's still hanging in there, huh?
Yeah. I also do think that, you know, there is some equipment on here that, you know, that 4,800 tractor. And we also have that 2017 sidewalk tractor that one gets used in the summer, one gets used in the winter. I think maybe we could probably get one tractor to do both. Potentially.
Mm.
1979 Ferguson roller. You know. Some of this equipment doesn't get used a lot. Some of it gets used a lot, you know, we could consolidate two and make one that can do both.
What would you, are you like for like that roller that you're saying, you could liquidate that and then,
Yeah,
Right.
so we have like a 1.5 ton roller and we have a 5 ton roller.
yeah,
You know, a 2.5 ton vibratory roller, probably the same compaction as a 5 ton roller. Neither one of them are worth much money.
Yeah.
But. The backhoe, you know, trying to purchase that backhoe, we do have some money in our drainage money that we use to, you know, for all our drainage, we could pull a little bit of money out of that to help put towards the backhoe when that time comes. I mean, there's.
Right.
So obviously putting these numbers in for these years are to replace those pieces of equipment at
Yeah.
some point.
You know, trying to start with the pickups
Right.
and then replacing.
To
them every 4
anticipate.
Years. You know, other towns have done it that way and, you know, some have sold them pickups for the same amount that they paid. You know, that's all hopeful thinking, but,
Pittsburgh School District used to turn over the pickup trucks every year
Wow.
and make money on the truck.
I can bet. Use pickups.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we're buying a new pickup for,
But I think at this point, I think the point we're trying to make for you is how do we get caught up?
yeah,
21st century at this point.
yeah, and it all comes down to that, you know.
Not that I don't want to retire a 1954 Ford tractor, but like at auction, it's worth about $1,500. We just sold one.
Probably
too.
the same what we paid for it, I don't know. But,
Isn't that an antique now? I mean, that is an
Pretty
antique.
much.
yeah, there's more that needs to be done to that equipment list. It's just kind of a start at this point.
Good. You gotta know where you're going.
I think, you know, putting more money into that capital reserve for our equipment is probably the key thing moving forward.
Yeah.
To continue to build
How much has Mark David done in the past?
as far as equipment.
It was like a cap reserve fund.
It was 85,000.
Yeah, we're putting in.
Did he ever adjust it for inflation?
He adjusted it when he first got there. And it was,
Yeah, originally was 50 to 60,000, we figured out for ATJ.
yeah, and then he finally got it up to 285. With the town board.
But I mean, just the way you are now, or way it is now, I mean, it would
That's
take,
not been adjusted.
Right, realistically, we figured It should be closer to 150,000. Because of what equipment. costs.
Yeah, as much as you add 3% to salaries, you should be adding some sort of percentage to that as well every year.
Oh, that takes care of the equipment, but back to the buildings, that goes into the AA fund, that'd be our end of it.
Yeah.
I think we probably wanna have you start. I think we gotta have some type of starting place and say, hey, a salt shed's XYZ. or-
Yeah, and Dan had that number earlier
yeah,
today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'll be talking about it in a little bit.
I think it was 485,000.
425.
Yeah, it's gonna be between 400 and $450,000
There's a roof.
That's for
leaking out of the
a salt shed.
for the salt shed, just the salt shed. That doesn't
Part of it
include
was
the storage.
Code,
any of that
that's
stuff.
what part of it was. So that's.
We also wanna consider possible land purchase down there.
So,
Busy year.
but I do think that, you know, if anybody had the opportunity, I know Dan Chase came down, Derek used to work there. You know, guys had a chance to come down to the highway department and look around. I think you'd get, you know, it's kind of a
It's eye-opening.
to what we're, you know, trying to work with. And, you know,
Did you at least fill in some of the potholes and driveway?
I do every time I get a little extra asphalt.
Looks like a demolition.
It does. But I mean, there's things there that are in definite need to, you know, I'd like the building to be all one, the same color.
Brown.
In regards to the
Hey, I was
land
over there when
purchase,
they built that building there,
Could we-
big sprinklers down
could
there.
we ever talk about moving the brush pile down there? And
Potentially,
mitigate
yep.
some of these issues with,
Yeah, there, you know, there could be a lot of
well, that should
opportunities.
make a revenue source as well if we start charging some of these contractors if they want to dump them.
Yeah, I guess, you know, we'd have to speak with like the town of Pittsburgh and see how they go about, you know, charging people to dump their brush here. I mean, we get brush from Pittsburgh. They bring it over here because it's free. So sometimes at 9:30 at night when I see it.
So far, it doesn't cost
I live
us,
close enough, I see
except for
everyone.
your time.
Yeah, it does not, the brush pile does not cost us anything to grind it. It does cost, you know, labor hours and
Pushing it
fuel
back.
equipment and stuff like fuel and equipment to keep it pushed out of the middle of the road sometimes. That is the cost of it.
But we don't know if that, when that contract's up, what's gonna happen.
It's good for 2 more years.
Okay.
So starting December, January 1 is going to be good for 2 more years.
So we got a little bit of time to
Okay.
Yes.
figure out what we're.
A lot of health is going on, that's-
You said-
Sorry, it's one.
Didn't you say Mendon's getting charged now?
They quoted Mendon 20,000 a year. Which I think that's like $10,000 a grind. I mean, what that ever came to, I don't know. So
That's a lot more.
to get rid of brush for people that don't live in this town.
Yeah.
So. Any other questions?
Maybe we could sell where the brush is down to the golf course. And make them happy.
Yep.
Well, some of
Good
that,
price.
some of that we don't even own.
That could be.
Sell it to my neighbor, he'll expand his run.
I think that's who owns some of it.
I think he does. Down the hill.
Yeah,
Yeah, and if anybody's got any questions beyond this, feel free to stop down and see me or send me an email, whatever you want to do.
At the very least, enjoy your new F-550.
Yeah. October.
Somewhat new.
Thank you.
I'll go last, I'm gonna be here. Well, if you want me to, I will. That's fine.
Are we doing yours, Pam, or not? What, oh, did you
It
decide?
doesn't matter.
Okay.
I'm kind of doing Dan's and mine together. So hopefully he chimes in. If I misspeak. And actually, I did want to give you, because we'll be talking about buildings. This is the building reserves that Dan was looking at. Okay, so let's start with revenues right off the bat.
What are do these columns have?
Yeah, so I was just gonna tell you, I didn't
Oh.
realize that they weren't labeled. So the first column is what is budgeted for 2024. The second column is year to date, what we've spent so far through June 30th. And then, the last column is what is projected for 2025. So interest in earnings is first, so we budgeted 52, year to date, we're already at 56. So it's looking like a good year. So I did go up a little bit, but like Jean and I were talking about, interest rates. Chances are it won't be as good as this year.
So, we don't have a projection for the whole year in here.
No, so if you look at year to date, we've already over hit the 52,000, so even if you double it, because it's only halfway through the year. But I would say we'd probably end up closer to 97, probably, maybe 100. You know, with interest rates still going down.
I'm just trying to get a handle on this year versus your request for the budget for 2025. I guess I don't have that, but the first column is what was budgeted for 2024.
Yeah. And so we're already above. budget
Horrible
for
system.
what was for
57.
2024. So that's the first one. The second one is, the cell tower. So what was budgeted is 44,000. We've only received, 5,400 so far. Reason why is we get one big check once a year. So we should be getting a check for roughly 39,000, 40,000, here shortly. And then, so we'll end up, we'll end close to 30. Or we'll end probably close to 48. So for 2025, I did 40,000 or
Is that a-
48,000.
Is that a contractual run?
Yeah. But what the contract actually reads, I've never seen. So,
But there is a lease. It's a formal lease.
okay, I just personally haven't seen it, so I just go based on track record, how much it goes up and kind of break them down. The corner house is $1, so 1911 house. And then the land, and this is if Horse's friend is still here, that's 18,000 for over there. So that's kind of the money is coming in. Pam will have a lot more monies coming in for clerk and stuff like that as well, but those are kind of the only ones that I have anything to do with. We're in control, which I will tell you, interest, we never used to actually invest until last year, so that was great that we were finally able to get that way. We're trying to come up with creative ways to save money and to try and make more money, so everybody has kind of come up with different ideas kind of across the board. But so going down to expenses, so for you guys, I did put a raise in 3.3%. The board has not received a raise in I think it was 3-4 years or something like that.
I think it's longer than that.
I was gonna say it's quite a few years. I can't remember. I got too many numbers in my head, so I apologize. So I did finally put a raise in there. It's up to you guys if you want to go with that or if you don't want to go with that. I think it's smart, but it's up to you guys. For contractual, we kind of stayed the same as what was budgeted this year. We'll probably, probably spend 1,700. So the 2,000 gives you a little bit of cushion. So next one is supervisor. So this is a big one. I'm asking the supervisor to go full time. We have a lot of problems here, and it's difficult having Dan here 3 days a week. So, let me really explain how it is right now. So Dan right now is here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I work Thursdays and, and everybody else works Monday through Friday pretty much. Right now, he's supposed to only be 20 hours a week. Even just those 3 days, he's putting in more than 25 hours a week. Because he comes in early, sees the building inspector, he meets with John Cruz, so he can start talking about the building and seeing what needs to be done. That's how we kind of started coming up with the projection of what needs to be done to the air conditioners, the boilers haven't been replaced, all these other issues. So he does that and then he stays until 3, 4 o'clock every day. Right now, his secretary is making more an hour than he is. It's kind of hard when he's also here meeting nights. He's here, when we all call him. And sometimes, so that's part of the problem. And this is why I'm bringing this up is, and this is something that we've all kind of asked of him, and he graciously said that he'd be willing to go full time. And, but there's times that we have issues Thursdays or Fridays. If Dan is on a job site, I mean, you guys are all on job sites, or you're in the office, you can't always answer the phone. The next person we go to is Pam. Pam is the only other person here all week. So she's the only other person that we can talk to find things out and try to get the problem fixed. There's been leaks, there's been, multiple issues where we have to have Pipitone come in, the generator guy come in, like all these people come in because we don't have somebody here to go look at it themselves. There's times that Dan's been able to go fix the generator issue when we would be calling and doing $1,000 bill or more just to have them come up. So, we here at the town would really like to see him go full time. So that is up to you guys, but I.
Does that mean you're going to quit your other
Yes,
construction
yes,
and you'd be
Here.
physically here 5 days a week?
yes.
To add to this is any supervisor that has been here way more than part-time.
More than the 20 hours a week that is.
There's no supervisor that's in the time that I've been here, that's only been here part-time. They always are here more hours
That's just.
and not get paid for it and still,
Is that number workable for you? I mean, yes, it's going from part-time to full-time, but is that a workable number?
Yeah, I could get by with it.
What is it? Have you,
So I did do research that's on the very low end of the scale for any supervisor. If they're full.
I mean, we're a small town too, so.
Right.
Just
And he was willing to go with it, so I was willing to take it. Yeah, I mean, most supervisors are making 70,000, 80,000. I mean, some of them are well into the hundreds, 120,000. But yeah, this would be a little bit on the low end, but he said he would be fine. And
I don't think as a town supervisor full-time, you're gonna be in the 70s anyway.
Well,
I mean, you're gonna be here, you're gonna be dedicating and dealing with insurance full-time, you're gonna be dealing with everybody. I mean, I'll go whatever you're good for, but
Well,
I think it's pretty low.
I don't want to put a burden of, that's,
I think we need to, not that I don't think you're worth it. I appreciate the stuff you do. The all-in cost, if he goes as full-time, he'll be getting benefits then too.
correct.
So is that
I don't,
reflected
I
in
don't,
here?
I don't need insurance.
How would that work then?
So
The-
technically for the handbook, he would get paid. And it's roughly, I think, $1,500.
For the year.
Yeah,
For the year? if you forego the insurance.
Yep.
So that's the health insurance you don't need.
Yep.
And this is stuff I definitely recommend that you guys have a workshop and discuss, but this is what I'm proposing.
Guess, are you willing, are you ready to take on that?
Yeah, I can, yeah, I put it aside.
I think Dan's truly seen the, you know, we have more than a dozen buildings. And we have more than a dozen buildings that are in decrepitness, like there's a lot of issues here. And I think Dan's starting to see how much there is to do.
Yep.
Supervisor secretary, where, she went up 3.3% to 15 hours a week. Supervisor for the, contractual, so his newsletter is, go ahead.
Supervisor secretary went down.
So it did, well, so it did, it's 15 hours a week is what we figured, but we actually had a building inspector in there, or building clerk. So she is actually in with, planning board and zoning board, all of them are actually cutting out her pay now. So her supervisor secretary actually changed, and hours kind of changed a little bit too. So the newsletter, is $2,000, every time it goes out, so it's roughly $12,000 a year to do that. One of the creative ways that we've been talking about trying to save a little bit is maybe we go to a quarterly newsletter instead of every other month. Or maybe we don't mail it out to everybody, because right now, if you've seen postage went up again, so it's over 70 cents just to mail out a letter nowadays. Maybe we, you know, only mail out the ones that people can't pick it up and they've requested it mailed or something. Or do we cut down to how many, you know, actual pages certain departments get? So you cut down the printing of it. So we're just trying to come up with other ideas just to try to cut costs a little bit here and there. But right now, that is what it costs if he continues to do it 6 times a year the way it is. Zoom and office supplies, it's $2,700. Zoom costs us roughly $1,400 a year. And then office supplies for the secretary on that. I know a new printer needs to be bought. We got issues. And then local law actually comes out of there as well as, oh, and then there's small equipment there. So with some of the local laws that are getting changed or that, you know, has been talked about getting changed, we tried to make sure there was money in there for that. And we increased it because the newsletter went up in the so it did go up 2,000 overall.
Did the local law, did you increase it? I don't, when it's in that column, I guess. So it's 3,300, just, that's what it was.
3,300 is what we're kind of planning. So what I tried to do is just break down what I'm planning on this next year.
Okay.
3,300 is what we should be collecting.
Did you take that out of my budget? Cause that's what I, but
So there was something else that he got charged for this year pertaining to local law stuff.
oh,
What exactly he was to, I can't quite remember, but when I pulled his account, there were certain things that it said local law. And he got charged for it. So I don't know if it was all the printing for that or that kind of stuff, but.
maybe that was put into the wrong place then. Or we didn't have enough funds, so we started taking it out of there.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Well, because the one local law that we put in there was a huge expense at
Well, yeah,
Centennial there.
done a lot of damage there, but it has to be done.
Right. So mine is the next one, Director of Finance, payroll, I just kept the same, I didn't put it in there, but it's 3.3%. So everybody's payroll is 3.3% except for the supervisors.
So where is yours? I don't see that.
That's why I was just saying it didn't copy over, I didn't realize until right now. So
Can we get updated with
you're
all
gonna
the
actually
information?
have the whole thing here in a little bit.
Okay,
You're gonna have everybody's all together.
okay.
I just grabbed mine and put them over on a nice separate sheet, so it'd make it easier for us to look at. So right now, the accountant costs us about 18,000 a year. For accounting services, I increased it to 20,000 a year. So the accountant, just to kind of let everybody know what we pay for with EFPR, or local gov, whatever you want to call it. We pay for the payroll software, we pay for the accounting software, and we pay for them to do our AUD every year. So right now, if we switch to ADP and we start doing that ourselves, that would be $6,000. Because we've had this conversation before of, do we need the accountant, do we not need the accountant? So last year, to kind of give everybody a little bit of background, I took on more responsibility so I could do it in-house, and we cut down the contract that we had with them down to 18,000. So if we take away the payroll from them, we'd still have to pay ADP directly at least 6,000. It's like 6,500 a year for all of our payroll and do our W-2s and all that kind of stuff. With the accounting software, if we go and switch to anybody, it costs us close to 20,000 to switch all of our records over. And then it's roughly about 10,000 a year to have an accounting software program. And I'm kind of going off of the old program that we had, but I looked at a couple other ones as well. And then the AUD is a few thousand. So right now, what we do pay for the accountant, it's kind of a wash if we went off on our own. So it's half a dozen one way or, 6 the other, right? So I'm not sure which way we ever want to go. The one nice thing, and this is something I always tell Dan, the nice thing is you always have somebody double checking my work. So he knows he's in the clear because he's technically the CFO. So every month, she is the one that still does the reports and stuff like that. I send them out to everybody, but she double checks all of our work, makes sure nothing's been taken out of our NAR accounts. So we do have somebody constantly auditing our business records, which is nice.
Yep.
So, the other thing is if something happens to me tomorrow or on my way home tonight, just kidding. You have somebody that can immediately pick up the slack. All you have to do is send them a report. They'll start entering a payroll in for us. Like they can immediately, because they own all the software, they can do whatever I do. So that's the other thing. So, obviously they'll start charging you for it, but if something ever happened to me, there's no stopping us moving forward. So I don't know if we ever want to change or not. To be honest, every year I kind of look through it just to try to see if there's a way that we can save, but so far this year, when I went through numbers again, that's what I'm running into, so I don't know what else to do. WageWorks is a program for our, so it's $1,500 a year. It is what we pay for people who have our insurance to, actually, anybody full-time gets a medical card with $500 on it, and the $1,500 is just the payment for the company to manage those cards for us. So I did send you all out a updated employee handbook. One of the things that I proposed in the handbook is to get rid of these little cards and go to an FSA. FSA won't cost us anything, so we would end up saving the $1,500 and we could still give the same benefit that we currently give to all of our employees. So that was one of my suggestions. So far I have it in there because we have not gone through the handbook yet, and I don't know if that's something you guys want to go with or not. So So I left it in there. Equipment, I need a new monitor and I need a webcam. So I did talk to, Ray. Go ahead. Oh, currently, the webcam, I don't have one. Well, I have one, but it doesn't really work. And so currently I've always had to use the laptop. That's difficult if I don't have it with me for some reason, or, yeah, if it's not working. So, I was gonna say that kind of happens. So the monitor would be, that one's old. I think that one's 8 to 10 years old right now. Currently, I have, so those are, I asked the IT person, they said roughly between the two, it would only be $300. Conference mileage, I go to, so I'd like to go to the, Association of Towns again. They have it in Geneva, so I just always drive, for a couple of days, and so I'd like to go again. Consultants, so I did put bond and billing. These are the consultants that, so like this year, one of the consultants that we had come out of my account was the audit that we did for all the billing services. So that was what, 7,500 that came out of my account. So I do kind of keep a little bit in there for consultants because we are talking about doing the bond consulting right now for the water project. So that's, I just put $1,500 in there. Supplies, $500. So I did go down overall because I'm not expecting consultants to be that high, and everything else kind of is, you know, roughly the same.
But we don't have your personal services in here.
Right, my 100 account, yep. And that was just a 3.3%. So 1620, this one's a Dan account, so I'll just kind of go over this one. So we did 3.3% on the building services. This is John Crew and mostly John Crew, the cleaner, and any kind of maintenance that we really have done
Like,
with
John,
employees.
Dick Snyder.
So Dick is mostly,
Library.
yeah, he's mostly
Okay.
library, and then he comes out of pavilion.
Okay.
So this is mostly John. Comes out of that one. I feel like there's somebody else that comes out of there, and I just can't think of who it is, but he's the only one that I can think of.
Is it my father?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, thank you. It's like, there's somebody I pay out of here, but I can't think of who it is. Yes, thank you. I forgot that. I just couldn't think of who else in buildings.
He's the longest employed employee in the town of Rock. That's a fact.
And honestly, sometimes Dick does come out of there too, like if he does do building stuff, but, so yeah, so I just increased it by 3.3%. So buildings, the 400 count, I tried to break it up as much as I could with what gets coded. When we do a final budget, it all gets shrinked up to the 400 across, but so like building supplies, I have $30,000, and that is everything you can think of is putting out of there. And this is our so between that and maintenance, which is 40,000, the two of them are our air conditioners, our carpet cleaning, our painting, our window cleaning, like all of these things all come out of these two accounts, 450 and 410. Anything that John needs to replace, like plumbing, stuff like that, all comes out of there. And it goes for all the buildings. So if something happens down at the highway department, if it's to the building, it gets charged to this account. Same with all of really 1911 house, all the stuff over there. Horses Friends and all of White Springs Farm. All of those things actually come up with those ones. So I just kind of took a total of what they normally run a year. And right now you can see we're already at 100,000 because of all the issues that we had.
So what's the big increase?
So you'll see as I keep going through, you'll start to see some, so like the horse barn I put in there, which is 125,000 for the grant that we're supposed to be getting.
That-
So I
that's a-
included. So there'll be 125 in the revenues, but then there's also, so not in the revenues that I showed you, but in the revenues that you'll get. And then I'll have the 125,000. So in her revenues, Kat's revenues, you'll see 125,000 for the grant.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Since she already went over her revenues with you guys. So building IT is 26,000, so we pay that roughly every year for IT items and our IT support. Utilities are going up close to 15% this year, so it's gonna be close to 32,000 for our gas, our electric, our water. And then down at the bottom here, you can start to see air conditioners. We started talking about those, the 25,000. Windows, if we do $15,000 worth of windows this year. The horse barn, the tech room, which is 125,000. So, some of you, I'm not sure if all of you know, but, so we were given a grant for roughly 125,000 last year for the horse barn. But it's kind of contingent on horse's friend. So after November, I guess the board, the people who were looking to give us more money or this kind of money is waiting to re-gift that grant is the goal. So it's better that we budget for it than not. If we don't get the grant, we don't spend the money. So we'll have less expenses, less revenue, but they'll wash each other out. But that other sheet of paper that I gave you guys with all the different projects, you can see 40,000 is between the air conditioner and the windows. I don't know if Dan told you, but some of the sashes are coming apart on some of the windows. There's, I mean, you saw the gutters. There's just so many, there's been 20 years worth of not doing anything to this building. And you guys all see what it is turning out to be. Some of the windows don't close all the way, so we do lose heat during the winter and we lose air conditioner through the summer. So hopefully some of the, you know, once you stop the leaks on the roof, once you close up the windows and close up the doors, you'll start to notice your electric goes down, your fuel usage goes down, you know, your gas is going. So a lot of those things will start to look a little bit better. I don't know, do you have anything more? That's really your department. I'm just kind of talking for you.
You do it more eloquently. No, there's just issues. Yeah, we have to start taking care of.
Well, and we're looking at doing a tile line this year, for the library, because right now the library floods anytime
When it
there's
rains.
a hard rain. And it comes right in the side of the wall, so that's great. He has gotten a chance to see it. I don't know if anybody's gone down to the basement, but I would highly recommend you taking just one trip down there and you'd understand what we're talking about. But there's cracks down there. There is, you can see electrical panels where the water is just flooded down the walls behind it because it's been stained so bad. You know, there's a lot of stuff downstairs. I actually said to him, I go, I think we could maybe change this to, you know, a maintenance office or maintenance closet somewhere else. So that way all of our, you know, stuff is not in the basement getting flooded, but.
There's two spots down there that are just wet.
Constant
It's wet.
Just constant water coming in.
Yeah.
And then when it rains real hard, the water comes in through the electric conduit and comes out one of the junction boxes.
Yes.
That doesn't sound very safe.
Sure doesn't. That's what I thought when I saw it too.
Water and electricity, pretty much shouldn't be together.
So when they built the building, this is just a story that I was told, but just to kind of give everybody a little bit of background. The elevator was supposed to go all the way down to the basement, but because the basement flooded all the time, they couldn't have the elevator go down that far, so they stopped at the, library floor.
Mhm.
So,
That's why there's the mezzanine.
so, I mean, that's unfortunately, so this has been an issue from the beginning, but if we just keep kicking the can down the road, you kind of are starting to see what the can looks like now that it's getting ready to blow up here soon. So, we need to start doing something before it gets too late. Oh,
Well said.
sorry. I can kind of speak my mind sometimes. And then down at the bottom, state retirement system, that's, that is going up. Any new, we have to pay a certain amount, so I don't pay, so everybody's salary is going up, so obviously the payment goes up as well. But Social Security, workers' comp, we've actually been doing well. So we're on schedule for those, same with unemployment and the disability insurance. So I just projected what we should be looking at for them. But this year we're actually right on target pretty much. So that's good news. And then the health and medical benefits is going up 23%. That's what I was. Hopefully it does not go up that much. I mean, but the preliminary numbers that I've gotten from them is like. And then I did, just realized I spelled research wrong. 30,000 to go into building reserves. I am looking forward to starting reserves this year, so we'll be doing that hopefully maybe by the end of September. I think. So if you want to say, I think we've done everything now, and then you go to difference. I'd like to get on the first. So let me give you all of this. It's just kind of more, this is everybody's budget all put together, double-sided, because paper. So first page is revenues, and then it goes through, so this is really a draft. This is truly for you guys to, my goal, I'm actually giving this early, to be completely honest with you guys, because the preliminary does not come out until, 13, of September.
Well, not, that's tentative.
Tentative, sorry, I did say problem. The tentative budget will be coming out, the second week in September. So this just kind of goes through, you can see there that under the park and rec charges under 2001, I did add the horses, the grant there for 125,000. So those are included in these amounts, but you will see we're looking at borrowing 300,000 from ourselves. Biggest thing is I want to explain a couple of things. Property taxes are, I'm proposing to go up 2%. The property tax is about 22% of our total expenses. So we make money from our interest from sales tax. I mean, sales tax is more than our taxes. The clerk's office, the rec office, all of those are how we get to balance our budget. So property tax is roughly what it was back in 2019. It's still lower than what it was in 2018, 2017, 2016. So we're still lower than those, but yeah, we got a lot of expenses and a lot of things going on. So all of these, where I have like the big boxes, I put what everybody put next to their expenses. So like my accountant, my software, the payroll software, the 20,000, that's where that number comes from. It's all of those combined. So I'm trying to give it to you so you actually have some idea of what goes into every single account, why it's so expensive, what can we cut? You know, let's start going from there, I guess. And I did, library and highway in here as well. So I did make columns for you guys to make comments. So like I said, I do hope that you actually, make a, do a workshop. So that way it will actually help you.
Can I get this electronically in your Excel?
Yeah. Something else I will not remember to write. So yeah, we're trying to come up with ways to be a little bit more creative. If you notice, like, even, I don't know if Dan told you, we switched garbage companies, so we started saving on that. We've been looking at the telephones to try and start saving on that. I try to come up with ideas and it turns out to save the town money by, changing the percentage of the health insurance that we cover. There's just different ways that we're trying to save money and everything.
So this is, just so I'm clear, this is not a complete breakdown of everybody's budget. Right?
Like what are you missing? What do you mean?
No, I'm just wondering if, what are we gonna, the nuts and bolts of everybody's together.
Yeah, so like PJ, what he went over today, like you go to the last page. All I did is kind of like product and
Yeah.
lubricants, so I added what he put down
Yeah.
in one of his pages.
No, I get that. I guess my question is more, so DJ's tentative budget is 1.5 million roughly.
Mhm.
General fund is 1.8. I didn't know if we had one where it was like DJ's bare bones. Minus all these small expenses.
Oh, yeah, so when we
So-
do the final budget,
Yes.
we do,
So
we
when-
cringe it out.
Yeah, because, yes, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah, so I did it this way to help you guys, to help you remember when they went through the budget, what was actually being discussed, what that meant, this is where it is. Because otherwise, if you just see a number, you don't really know.
This is broke out. This is if we're looking to cut somewhere, this gives you specific areas where you might,
No, it makes. I
maybe we
get
could
it.
do
I just-
something with this and put a little bit
Fair on
on.
budget at work.
Yeah.
I have my way of doing it. It's different. It's just,
It is different, just, yeah. I don't
no,
know.
my way is different. Like I have it, it's very broad, like categories, contractual services, stuff like that.
Yes, and that's how it will come when you guys do the final adopted.
That's kind of what I was saying.
Can we get information on our fund balances?
Sure.
Unexpended funds, cause I see. I mean, that's the big plug always, to pay for the budgeted expenses. If I were to look, I see on the highway, the unexpended balance, the $240,000 is what we're saying. You're gonna need to take out of the funds
Right.
to make this balance.
So as of, the end of last year with our.
No, when-
APP,
If you
Uh,
could send that to all of us so that we could see where we're starting, what is our fund balance now? Our, on it, from our budget. And, the unexpected, like in the overall, the general fund, you're saying that we need $385, is that correct?
Yep.
From the fund balance to pay for these anticipated expenses and so on. So
I couldn't.
what does
do
that mean?
Until, so you guys just approved spending ARPA funds this evening. So up until now, it would have been a different number. Now.
Okay,
it's a
but
different
excluding,
number.
even
Yeah.
excluding that.
Well,
We
that's
don't
what I'm
have
saying.
this
I can give
information.
you, I can give you what it was last year. when
Where
we-
does this
when we did
leave
our
us?
close
Yeah,
of
where
our
does,
budget.
where does this leave us?
I would like the last year. What we budgeted so that, because we can see what we budgeted for 24.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, for 23 and what we closed at.
Yes, so right on there is that, so it has actual for 2023. But you're
20
asking just for the fund balance is what she's wondering, so.
Yeah,
as
where,
of-
where are we at? If we say, I mean, we gotta know that,
Oh, I understand.
because like where are we left with our balances? In order to say this is a good budget, or do we gotta cut stuff out?
So I can tell you guys just really quickly, but I will email it to everybody. So the highway ended with last year 1.2 million. And the general ended with 1.3.
Okay. But then in this current year's budget that we're living with,
Right, you
Has-
originally had 200 and some $1,000 that you wanted to spend out of this year's budget.
okay, so I think it was like another 400,000,
327.
Yeah.
300.
you know, was coming out of the fund. So where are we? We're taking another 300, and I didn't add it all up for the various departments, the general, the highway, the library, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, then make sure you always keep them separate.
No,
Because they're different.
In my
funds.
head, I
know,
need to
but-
see the fund balance, because is this gonna draw us down? What are we left with this anticipated budget in our fund?
I understand. I'm just making sure that you realize highway is a whole separate.
No, I know,
business
but
Than that,
No,
are-
no.
so theirs is a different.
no,
account.
we understand that.
Okay,
but we
well, I
need to
just wanna
see
make
the
sure that we
numbers.
don't add them
What's
together.
in the highway fund, what's in the general fund? Starting what we budgeted for this year. We knew we were gonna take some money out of that fund, the unappropriated fund balance.
Right.
We knew that. We budgeted in to get to a rate.
Yep.
That built into our taxes. So I'm asking for that information. Where does this leave us? If we say, okay, this is great budget, but we can't say that because we don't have the information to say that.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I think that's it. You can. do
Okay,
yours.
I'll spin through this quickly, because you guys already, you have, I sent you this, well,
Yeah.
right?
Yep,
Okay,
You guys
Thank
have
you.
it, or do you, I have more copies.
I have mine.
I don't have my.
Thank you for sending it in advance, but you know, it's helpful.
Do you need one? with it? Mine and I colored it. yours.
I've got the email, but it would be easier.
I don't charge the town money for color. Yes.
well, we need to put a code in here to do it. Yeah, what's up? Okay, so. Personal services, I thought it was 3.2 COLA that, Janice told, so that'll be adjusted just a little bit, depending on whatever. We decide, equipment, I don't have any feedback yet on whether we're gonna get new laptop and monitor yet, so I'm just checking on that to see if do we ever get anything back to them on, do we have an escrow agreement with Pinpoint Group? Yeah, like we used to have a $5,000 or $10,000 that we used to bank out of.
I do not.
Okay. So I'll have to figure that one out. Janice had mentioned something about the code, and I think what she had budgeted, you had budgeted in was because last year and the year before, we did so much code work that we had to spend a lot more money, and I didn't budget for it, so then I took it out of the supervisor's account. So I just talked to you about this of holding off on and packaging our local laws together, so we reduce the rate. We'll still have them in the code when they're approved as legislation adopted, but not formulated and codified yet. So that we got 3 coming up. I'll wait till we have all 3 of them adopted, then I'll submit them and get a price for that. So I did put in $3,000 for that. Last year, I think I had 4. So I put in 3,000, but that depended, the one that we just got for the mixed use is between $700,000 or $700 and $800. So I'm just holding that. The Zoom and the Otter thing, as you look down on, down farther on the left, I think we can eliminate one of the Zoom accounts. Because we're gonna combine them. I was talking to the other clerks about that. We could probably combine it all into one now, since we're using just one Zoom account instead of two, but I'll see what the hours max that we can use on that. So that might be going down a little bit, but that is still something that's recommended because it helps us load and it acts with the YouTube, which is YouTube's no cost. Legal notices, they might go up, they might go down. I put $1,000 in, and that's all dependent on how busy the boards are. On the second page, mileage could go up or down. Same thing with the nameplates that we get, depending on what we have changes and who comes and goes. So I put in $120 for that. Office supplies, I just put in 100 just to make sure that if there's anything non-routine that we have to buy, just put in 100 for that. Seminars and meetings that we go to for training and everything, it's gonna go up a little bit because everything goes up, so I put in just slightly for that. The records management is gone down about $750 because right now we are using our IPS, which is the integrated property system, with the building department and the code enforcement officer to scan things in there. And we're using Laserfiche right now to scan a multiple amount of documents in there. And that's a government type of secure saving of documents. So we're using a lot of that. So that's going to drop that cost down. Central storeroom and supplies that we got. People just add them to the list and we purchase whatever they would like. If it's over and out of the ordinary, then it goes directly to their department and comes out of their budget. And we'll try to specialty pens. If you want a specialty pen, that's on your dime. Or otherwise, we're just gonna have their generic. So we do, sort of shop around with that. The leases that we have are set for our copier and the bulk mailing rate of the postage, like Janice said, it is going up. So I'm not positive how that's gonna all work out. What we're trying to do is if residents are asking us for copies of their bills because I can't find mine, blah, 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 or they're sending a lot more emails, we'll email things back to them. So that is saving a little bit on our postage. It just takes more time to do it and get their emails and everything, so. And then the last page, as I said before, we're doing a lot more with marriage licenses, dog fees. Dan and I were talking about that because we're gonna have to do something about dog control and add something to the budget there to have some type of place to put our dogs.
Yeah, probably gonna go with Henry.
Yeah.
Dan, didn't you just say you saw we're not supposed to send any more on dogs related stuff that we take in and licenses?
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Ag and Markets law says you're not supposed to spend any more on dog control than you take in.
Well, that's exactly what we're doing.
Okay.
See, because we're taking in like $7,000-8,000, but we're also paying our dog control.
Right.
officer
Well, but my question was if we do go with say we go with
We have to supply
Henrietta,
them. a house facility for. And right now, our cheapest option is between $13,000 and $17,000 joining with Henrietta.
It's a one-time cost.
It's it's one-time cost, but.
But I would like to know what the yearly.
Yes, and I agree with you with that.
Something.
They're,
Right.
There's,
whether they charge us a flat rate or if they charge us per animal bringing it in.
at the vets, there was always a set rate and they were charged, that's charged to the dog owner.
Yes,
So the town's not, but. the
a
town's
set
not
rate
paying.
per animal.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
or if it was there for multiple days,
Yeah,
right,
it's
yeah,
$18 a day.
yeah.
If they needed a rabies shot, that we had a contract that said exactly what, so we created a invoice, so when the resident came in, we charged them, and then that's how we got to pay
Yeah.
Suburban.
Yeah, so that's,
So how is it supposed to work?
we're not sure exactly with Henrietta, we haven't got all the details yet. So
They're
they,
doing their budget, they're building a building, they're gonna put a dog kennel on the back of it. And they would like to know, Brighton, Rush,
Wheatland, possibly it was Brighton, was it Mendon?
I
Was
don't
that,
think many, there was just 4,
okay. Yeah,
but if Brighton doesn't go in, then what we would have to pay would be double.
if somebody drops, then the dominoes might start to fall pretty quick on how many people want to get involved. And then maybe we might have to get creative on if we
Yeah,
want to
we-
try and do something.
Yeah.
Our own.
The dog kennel's gonna be on the back of the splash park. The building's gonna contain the waterworks for that.
It'll make it a lot more fun. Kids running around if one of the dogs get out.
Oh, my God.
You're being serious.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it
Well,
said in the
other
email.
towns Have put the kennel on the side of the highway department. Like,
Well,
Yeah,
and
New York State is changing. a lot.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah, I
it's
know,
blocking.
it's
But
just
it,
dog
you
bark.
know, it might not, well, if we could, the problem is you have to have somebody there a reasonable amount of time also. So,
They have to walk in, eat it 3 minutes.
yeah,
Well,
so, but-
and what I was gathering, was gathering together is how many times we picked up a dog.
Yeah.
And what the cost was over the last 5 years. And let Dan know that, so we can gauge on how we are with our dogs compared to other towns, because we have had a very active dog control officer to move things around and get things.
yeah, and I tried reaching out to Wheatland in like April, May,
They don't have.
never
one.
heard anything back.
They don't have one.
They're in their highway department.
advertising
Well,
for a
they're,
dog control officer.
they might
So
not
is
have a
Henrietta.
dog control,
And so is Henrietta.
but Wheatland did have a spot in their highway department where they
They did.
brought the dogs.
Okay.
Cause Carrie's son worked there and he said that they had a spot at the highway department where they would bring dogs whenever they had to pick them up. So when we were running into this, I said, well, I'll reach out to Wheatland supervisor and see if they would have any interest in working with us on it. And I didn't hear anything back. Tried a couple of things. What's that? I said we got to build a couple of those block buildings over at the White Spring Farms.
That's right.
Put a kennel in there.
So that's something that,
So it is. in
and
your
add to
budget.
the,
This is what you
add to
guys
the
got.
budget. It's not in Dan's budget.
It is in the budget.
It is in Dan's
Yeah, I saw it in there.
So dog licenses, marriage licenses, DEC commission, it might be dropping because a lot of the hunters can print things off on their own and pay on their own online now. They used to be able to too, but now it's even made easier, so that depends. And we do have 3 notaries, however, in our last meeting with Monroe County clerks, we realized that some towns do charge $2 per non-resident to notarize things. So if Luther came in, I wouldn't charge them. If somebody from Honey Falls came in, I would charge them $2. Because it's time consuming. We have to write down, I know that some of you have done this. I have to write down their name, their address, their, what their, license and what I'm notarizing and then notarize it. So you have to have a record of that and it's free, but and it's for me, I can't charge anything as a town clerk, but it's not a requirement of anybody to be a notary, and that's separate from me. I'm a state agent, separate from the town. But I have anyone that wasn't a Rush resident charge $2. So that might be something that we might entertain. I might entertain a resolution like that. We do have a lot of people coming in for marriage licenses from other towns because they require them to make an appointment. I don't necessarily always require that strict of a schedule, but it's an extra $17.50 every time someone walks in the door, so.
I just wonder about for that notary. I agree with you. I don't really see a problem with charging somebody out of town a couple bucks to do it. But like for someone like me, my license says Honey Falls.
Yeah, but you're a taxpayer in Rush.
So you
So
could
I
look
know-
at,
I know that you're a Rush resident.
okay. I just wasn't sure how you would like, how
Yeah.
you know, if somebody that just moved here that lives somewhere in my neck of the woods.
A lot of residents have Honey Falls as their.
Right, I was
Oh,
just,
Yeah, Luther does too,
yeah,
but
so I was just curious. I mean, I agree with you. I think we should. I just, what I worry about is someone saying, I am a Rush resident, and you're like, well, that's not what it says, but you could look it up on the tax roll when it comes.
The address.
Well, do you pay taxes in Rush?
Yeah.
Well, some people, well, I go to Rush Henrietta. No, do you
Yeah.
live in Henrietta or do you live in?
Yeah. Okay,
So,
all right.
We get that a lot too, for like signing up for the pavilion. Well, I'm a Rush Henrietta resident. No, you're not.
Yeah. You may be
You're
a.
together.
Okay.
The superintendent of Rush Area Schools, she said she lives in Rush, moving to Rush. I said, where? Well,
She's
actually,
not.
it's the other side of. Rush.
Yes, it's Rush Henrietta Town Line Road that she's.
On the north side of it.
Yeah. So, but does anyone have any questions about this budget?
So I noticed that you put in some numbers for the adopted 2024, but not 100% for comparison's sake all the way down.
I didn't have the actual ones that I put in here after it got adopted, so I didn't put them in the actuals. If I could find the actuals that I had, because once I meet with Janice and she does this and puts it on the adopted budget, it doesn't really look like mine anymore, because everything gets all split up. So,
It's just hard to, you do a comparison. We don't have the information, just. I'm sure it's good, but I don't
most
know.
of it is probably whatever was adopted is pretty close to whatever the tentative was or is.
Okay.
Would you recommend the workshop?
Well, I think there's got some important stuff going on here soon, so it's probably sooner than later. I will be unavailable for the next couple of weeks, so. You don't
Have
need
coffee
me,
with
but you don't
donuts.
need me. We can have any time.
Jack Daniels.
Well, you've got to have it between,
But if you wanna do it before the pension budget comes out, the pension budget comes out.
13.
The 15th.
so September.
That's
We can still
from who?
change it.
That you create?
Yeah.
Okay, so when
So.
we're gonna get a copy. of
So
it,
I
right?
present the
Yeah,
tentative
so I
budget
have-
to you on the 25th. So in between there.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
And then next week.
So the tentative budget is gonna be presented on the 25th, which is the second town board meeting in September.
So that is up to you guys.
So we should do it the first week in September or the second week?
Yeah, I would say probably go towards the first week. Derek potentially would have things that might be out of his control as we get towards the middle of September, so let's try and
The sooner the better.
13th is-
the 14th is mine, so.
You're hoping for the 13th?
It's
Actually, that'd be the only-
Friday the 13th.
Then would probably be the only time they'd actually recognize my birthday, so that'd be nice.
Oh, cry me or.
So yeah, you guys meet and then any changes would need to come through Dan.
Should have said it at the meeting today.
Oh, to schedule.
Yeah,
Do we have enough time for a notice, Pam? If we do it that first Monday?
Well, it is a budget workshop. He said, that's it for a budget workshop, like at a more of an emergency budget workshop type of thing. Because otherwise you'd have to have a formal.
So what are we talking about? When do we have?
I was typically we do the workshops on the first Monday.
or the Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, because Luther Mondays are bad for you, right?
And
Well,
that's
this is-
Labor Day.
This is Labor Day.
It's Labor Day,
Oh,
anyway.
Okay.
So
So do
Tuesday the
Tuesday.
3rd,
For next.
That's next week.
yeah, because the next meeting you have is the 11th.
We do it on Thursday, the 5th.
So what they were looking at?
Thursday, the 5th of September.
That's not good for Derek.
Good.
What about Wednesday? 4th?
We're looking in that first week in September, so,
Wednesday, the 4th.
We do it the 9th.
yeah, we could do it. Are you good on that Monday?
That's fine. I'll just take it off.
Monday, the 9th.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with that.
Okay.
7.
Well,
Okay, so Monday the 9th, so Dan's gonna call a meeting tomorrow. Tell me and tell you guys that you're gonna have a meeting.
tomorrow. What time?
We have to have a meeting tomorrow?
No, he's
Oh.
gonna email me.
Okay,
To tell me, to
Okay.
tell all of you, to tell you that he's setting up a meeting on Monday the 9th.
Okay.
So that it'll be an official,
Okay,
are you in town then, Janice, or not yet?
when do you leave, actually?
Sunday morning.
For vacation?
Yep, my husband and I have our 25th wedding anniversary, so we are going to Germany for.
Oh,
Nice.
fun.
And we don't forget. That's another.
But you're gonna send us in this electronic format and give us the fund balance changes.
Right.
All in
An
favor,
early
yay.
night.
It's early. Oh.
are you adjourning the meeting?
Yes, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Oh, thank you.